Chapter 1072. Xiaoxi's every sentence and every word shocked everyone. It was as if they were struck by lightning or heavenly music. They were shocked, stunned, and dumbfounded. Capturing the 9 great commanders alive? Killing millions of scum? If they hadn't run fast enough, they would have been wiped out? Was that even possible? Any one of these was like a fantasy story to them. They were all things that they had never even thought about before. No one knew the strength of the 9 great commanders better than them, especially the powerful golden dragon. His divine ability was many times stronger than a grand luo. None of the other 8 great commanders were weak, especially Lu Qianri with the godly king body. He was no weaker than Hu Mainyang, Helian Wuzi, and Qin Shui. However, Xiaoxi said that Qin Hao had captured the 9 great commanders alive. What did that mean? That was already exaggerated enough. How could he have killed millions of cultivators? What did it mean to kill millions of cultivators? After all, those who could stay in the 10-direction territory were at least perfected golden immortals. Even if 1,000,000 perfected golden immortals stood there for you to kill, you would still have to kill them until your hands went numb and your energy ran out. Mistresses, brothers and sisters, you don't have to look at Xiaoxi like that. Every word he said is true and true. He is conservative and not exaggerating. Look, do you see these 2 fellows? Do you see the foreign scum who pissed their pants when they saw you? This is the proof. What you see is only in this direction. All around you are scum who pissed their pants and wish their parents had given birth to them with more legs. Not to mention you, even the other small human legions rushing to the core area can scare them away. When Xiaoxi saw that everyone was staring at him in disbelief and shock, his expression quickly turned to one of doubt. He immediately continued. Ha ha. Lan Feng was the first to recover from his stupor and laughed wildly. He laughed so hard that tears streamed down his face, but he still laughed. For more than 1,000 years he had been on the brink of death. His best brothers and sisters, the main force who had accompanied him through life and death, had fallen one after another. What kind of sorrow was that? What kind of heartache was that? Now he who was ready to risk his life and follow his brothers and sisters, received such news. He laughed, cried and laughed. Men did not easily shed tears, but at this moment he forgot everything. In his teary eyes he seemed to see the scene in the primordial mystic realm, where Big Brother wielded his spear and killed all gods and devils who stood in his way. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Master said that he will use the blood of the foreign races to pay tribute to Shao Nan, Du Jing and proud Tian's brothers and sisters in heaven. Little Ji will bring you to meet Master. When Xiaoxi saw that everyone was crying uncontrollably, he also felt sad. His tender voice sounded like he was about to cry as he spoke. Chi. Soon after, everyone held each other's hands and flew into the aircraft. The cabin door closed and Xiaoxi 1 turned into a streak of light with a swoosh. Xiaoxi's how long? After a long while, Lan Feng finally calmed himself down and asked Xiaoxi, what do you think? Everyone wiped the tears from their faces and looked at Xiaoxi. 462 hours, it won't be long. When I came out to find you, I was searching around the core area, so it was a little slow. Half a day more. We'll see Big Brother. Xiaoxi, can't you simulate the scene? Let's see Big Brother fight. Everyone was shocked by Xiaoxi's words. That's right, Xiaoxi. Hurry up and show us. Long Ting appeared in front of Xiaoxi in a flash and grabbed the neck of Xiaoxi's virtual shadow. Hurry, Xiaoxi. Hey. Okay. Xiaoxi hurriedly replied and gave the order. Whoosh. The space in the aircraft suddenly changed and Xiaoxi's simulation appeared clearly in front of everyone's eyes. They saw the figure they had not seen in over 10,000 years. They saw his terrifyingly calm face. They saw him forcing the golden dragon out. They saw 2 lines of blood and tears. Shaonan Du Jing Lin Xia. Ao Tian's brothers and sisters, my fellow humans. Today I will use an endless amount of blood to pay tribute to your souls. Junior brother Ling. Brother Yang, I hope your primordial spirits are still intact. I will use an endless amount of blood to rebuild your bodies. They heard the voice that shook heaven and earth. It was almost like a prayer. Then they saw the blood-red hair that was driven into a frenzy, endless slaughter, mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Even though this was only a simulation by Xiaoxi, and even though the simulated aura was very weak, everyone could imagine what kind of scene it was. His body had expanded 10,000 times, like a demonic god, killing wave after wave of foreign tribesmen. His body was covered in blood and wounds and he was getting weaker and weaker. At this time, everyone was on tenterhooks and held their breaths. Even though they knew the result, they still could not imagine how Qin Hao had done it. The scene changed. Qin Hao's huge body suddenly shrank. Then the truly terrifying and unimaginable scene appeared. Shrill and terrifying screams resounded through heaven and earth. Tentacles that could devour heaven and earth spread wildly in the sky. Golden Dragon and the other commanders did not even have the strength to fight back. When the scene ended, everyone's eyes were wide open. They were immersed in extreme shock and the blood in their bones was boiling and surging. Swoosh! A stream of light streaked across the sky, and the aircraft slowly descended from the void. Swoosh! The hatch opened. Swoosh! 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 The figures who were still immersed in shock suddenly came to their senses. Then they rushed out of the aircraft crazily. One by one they cried tears of joy in the void, staring at the slender figure with a smile on his face. His eyes were as bright as stars, but they were surging with sparkling light. His slender body was trembling slightly, and he was not as calm as he appeared to be. His gaze stopped on each of them and he carefully sized them up one by one. The women, Lan Feng and Ao Tian's remaining brothers and sisters were all emotional. Their faces were full of tears as they stared blankly at Qin Hao. God of slaughter Qin Hao. No one moved or made a sound. Only strong emotions were spreading among them. More than 10,000 years. For them, seeing him again was like waking up from a nightmare. More than 10,000 years. Qin Hao was unable to calm down as he looked at the familiar group of women who should have been beautiful and devastatingly beautiful, yet all of them were haggard and exhausted, and the only remaining brother that Qin Hao was familiar with, Lan Feng. The appearance was born from the heart. With just a glance he could tell what kind of hardships and dangers his woman and his brothers and sisters had endured until now. Chapter 1073. Brother. What? Qin Yan finally couldn't hold it in any longer and threw herself at Qin Hao. When she dove into Qin Hao's arms like a swallow returning to its nest, she burst into tears. In front of the girls, Qin Yan was the youngest sister. Although everyone knew that she had feelings for Qin Hao, no one rejected her. Although the girls wanted nothing more than to throw themselves into Qin Hao's arms, they maintained their dignity at this time. He didn't belong to any one of them but to everyone. They couldn't be the first to take advantage of everyone. However, Qin Yan didn't have such scruples, and the girls weren't dissatisfied with her taking the lead. Brother, Hanan is dead. She died to save me. Brother. Wah wah wah. Qin Hao allowed his sister to vent but he couldn't comfort her. How could he? His heart was also in pain because Xiaonan's death had caused him to enter a state of madness that would last for hundreds or even thousands of years. Her body and soul were destroyed. Even Qin Hao, who had 3,000 great Daos, couldn't find any way to save her in his current realm. Qi. Suddenly, Qin Hao pointed a finger between Qin Yan's eyebrows. The emotions that had been suppressed for too long finally exploded at this moment. Qin Yan, who was on the verge of a mental breakdown, disappeared in front of everyone. Boss. When Qin Hao looked at Lan Feng again, Lan Feng suppressed the emotions in his heart and yelled. You don't have to say I know. I'm sorry I came back late. Qin Hao said. Boss. No, it's not that you came back late. It's us who embarrassed you, Qi. Qin Hao shook his head and waved his finger, causing dazzling beams of light to shoot into the foreheads of Lan Feng and Proud Heaven and the dozen or so remaining generals. Have a good sleep. Hiss. Following Qin Hao's words, Lan Feng and the others entered the glabella of Qin Hao like Qin Yan. Hu Mainyang's eyes flickered. Mainyang, thank you. Qin Hao looked at Hu Mainyang and said. Thank you. Thank you. Qin Hao's words caused Hu Mainyang, who had just wiped away her tears, to tremble. Was she so unfamiliar to him? She was so unfamiliar with him that she had to thank him as if he was an outsider? Grievance, endless grievance, but she forcibly controlled her emotions. Previously she could cry, but at this time with her pride she definitely could not show any weakness. Thank you. What a harsh word. Back then when she fought with Xiao Yan the outcome of the battle was uncertain. Who did she side with immediately? More than 10,000 years of waiting, more than 10,000 years of praying, more than 10,000 years of... Were they all fake? In the 10 Directions domain he had gone through life and death with the women and the members of the Proud Heaven sect for over 1,000 years. She could accept the fact that Lan Feng and the others didn't put her on the same side as them. After all, there was no agreement between her and Chen Hao, and it was impossible for there to be an agreement. However, Chen Hao's "thank you" pierced her heart. Hu Mainyang muttered "thank you" twice. She tried her best to control her emotions and not show any weakness. However, she could no longer control the pain and grievance in her heart. She didn't want to show any weakness. She really didn't want to, but the tears in her eyes gushed out uncontrollably. She stared blankly at Chen Hao, his figure blurred. She realized that the things she always thought she saw clearly she didn't expect to see clearly in the end. Chi. At this moment Chen Hao pointed his finger again. He pointed at Hu Mainyang's forehead. Unlike Qin Yan and Lan Feng, his finger contained a terrifying amount of emotional power. Furthermore, at the same time he spoke a sentence in her mind. Before she fainted, she had to keep her eyes wide open, but she would still be able to sleep peacefully. Your ability to control your emotions is too strong. If I want to break you down and completely release you, the only way is to provoke you. More than 10,000 years ago you acknowledged me as your guardian. Although you didn't tell me, did you? Sleep. Have a good sleep. How can you treat Mainyang like this? Helian Wuxia couldn't help but say. At this moment the girls couldn't take it anymore. Of course, this was because they didn't hear Chen Hao's voice transmission. Chen Hao shook his head and didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the nervous Bailey Ningbing and didn't give her any time to prepare herself. He pointed his finger and immediately absorbed it into his mind. Brother Hao, you shouldn't treat them like this. Long Ting directly grabbed the hand that she hadn't held for more than 10,000 years. She frowned and said, although we don't want you to have more women, but Mainyang and Ningbing have been with us for so long. They've long become good sisters. What you did hurt them too much. I'm sorry. Chen Hao suddenly hugged Long Ting and stretched out his arm like a rubber band. He directly hugged Helian Wuxia, Tantai Lian, Xia Yu, Leng Ning Huan and Leng Ning Lu. His gaze fell on their faces and he said, I seem to have a few more women. Ah? And what? I have a few children. What? All the women widened their eyes and looked at Chen Hao. Their lips trembled and they didn't know what to say. Chi 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 chi. It was also at this moment that Chen Hao suddenly pointed his finger a few more times. A crystal light flashed between his eyebrows and absorbed all the women into the world in his mind. Sleep, sleep. All of you sleep. Have a good sleep. Then together with me we'll wash the 10 Corners territory with blood. Phew. Chen Hao let out a long sigh of relief and then shook his head. He was a little troubled. Hu Mainyang, Helian Wuxia, Long Ting and the others' emotions and willpower were very strong. It was easy to make them break down completely under stimulation. Only by making them break down completely could they better fall into a deep sleep. Then he could do whatever he wanted to refine and transform them. Tension and relaxation were the principles of civil and martial arts. In the past 1,000 years, they had been on the verge of breaking down. If this state continued, even if they could calm down in the future, it would affect their foundation. Therefore, it was necessary to make them fall into a deep sleep. In this aspect, none of them could compare to Coiling Dragon. Especially after seeing Pan Long's performance in the Mountains of Corpses and Seas of Blood, Chen Hao was even more certain that Pan Long's future achievements would be absolutely terrifying. Chen Hao originally thought that Pan Long would need to rest after enduring for half a day in the Mountains of Corpses and Seas of Blood before continuing. But now it had been more than 10 days. Although Pan Long became more and more painful and seemed to be on the verge of breaking down at any time, he still didn't break down. His willpower and endurance had exceeded Chen Hao's expectations. What was more amazing was that Pan Long and Lu Qianrui's physical bodies had reached perfect compatibility in just a short period of 10 days. This was simply a miracle. Second update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1074. Seizing another's body was much less compatible than reconstructing the golden body. After all, the reconstructed golden body was formed according to the cultivator's own condition. Although it was impossible to completely match, it was still more suitable than directly seizing another's body. However, Coiling Dragon had casually taken over a god's body. Under the dual tempering of the Immortal Sutra and emotional pressure, it had managed to perfectly match his primordial spirit in just over 10 days. Was it a coincidence that Lu Qianrui's God King body was very suitable for Coiling Dragon? Or was Coiling Dragon's appetite so good that nothing was taboo? Qin Hao didn't know. However, this was undoubtedly a situation that Qin Hao was very happy to see. The reaction seems to be very intense, Qin Hao muttered to himself as he thought of the expressions on Helian Wuxia and the others' faces when they heard that he had a few more women and children. But it really has nothing to do with me, my original body. Indeed, Qin Hao didn't feel anything even now. In the depths of his heart he didn't even accept being a father. Sorry, he really didn't have the joy of being a father, let alone any feelings. Of course, Qin Hao knew that if he fused with the second anima, everything would be overturned. However, as of this moment he was truly standing in the position of a bystander, complaining about the injustice of his second anima. Shaking his head, Qin Hao sent out a beam of energy. In an instant, a huge palace appeared around him and he immersed himself in cultivation again. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree couldn't completely digest the endless vitality that it had devoured in a short period of time. Of course, this didn't require Qin Hao to complete, but Qin Hao had to participate. Before he left, Zhou Qinglong had given him a life seed that wasn't inferior to the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree. Even the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree couldn't devour it. It could only refine its own vitality and constantly approach its aura. Even for Qin Hao, this process was very profound and mysterious, and he could obtain great benefits from it. Qin Hao's goal was to refine the life seed that Zhou Qinglong had given him into his own body. If he could do it, he might obtain a freakish ability like Zhou Qinglong. His physical body could explode for fun, and with his true undying bloodline, how terrifying would he be? Kill. Let's fight. 3 months after Qin Hao and the other human cultivators joined them, those human cultivators, who were much slower than Hu Mainyang and the other human cultivators, finally saw the fleeing non-humankind cultivators from the edges and corners of the core area, who were running away from the core area like streams converging into rivers. Just like Hu Mainyang and the others back then, they didn't know what was going on. As soon as they saw it, they wanted to fight with their lives on the line. It was the last dawn, the last hope. All the human cultivators who rushed over at this moment didn't think about going back alive. However, when they charged forward one by one, they discovered that the foreign race cultivators were like birds startled by the twang of a bow. Many of them, who did not even have a physical body, turned around and fled as if they had seen ghosts. Their auras were not weak, but no one wanted to fight with them. What was going on? They didn't know and they couldn't figure it out. But seeing this situation, the human cultivators, who were puzzled, suddenly became more eager to fight and chased after them madly. For so many years they had been forced to flee like rats. Now they encountered foreign race cultivators who were afraid to fight with them. No matter what the reason was, they would kill them first. It didn't take long for the human cultivators to figure out what had happened from the outsider cultivators. As they got closer and closer to the core area, the group of human cultivators grew larger and larger. The name of killing God Qin Hao after the primitive mystic realm once again became the pride of the human race and the nightmare of the 9 major foreign races. Dawn, the dawn of hope before the human cultivators fought desperately and had time to show their power, had gradually risen into the sky, cut through the endless darkness and illuminated the entire 10 directions territory. They came to the core area with a pilgrimage heart and saw a palace condensed with supreme divine powers. Above the palace, 2 words were condensed, blooming with bright light and endless pressure of Tao law, proud heaven. After surviving a disaster, the human cultivators' eyes were filled with joy and tears of excitement. They silently and spontaneously knelt on the ground. Another piece and another piece, they knelt for a long time without getting up. They knelt and wept bitterly, pouring out and venting for their dead Tao companions and brothers and sisters. At some point, the sound of Sanskrit of the great Tao, which contained endless Tao law and immortal light, softly drifted between heaven and earth within a radius of tens of millions of miles around the palace. Countless 7-colored lotus flowers poured down like lotus light rain from the 9 heavens, bathing all the human cultivators in it. Another piece and another piece. With tears in his eyes, the cultivator closed his eyes and naturally lay down on the ground, peacefully entering the land of dreams. In the dream, she seemed to see the majestic figure of a true immortal descending to save all living things. His handsome face and slender figure seemed to see the souls of countless brothers and sisters who had died in heaven. He waved his hand with a smile and left. The nerves that had been stretched taut for more than 1,000 years and the essence, qi and spirit that had been exhausted to the extreme in this day's dream forgot all the pain and troubles and slowly recovered, filled up and improved. The soft Sanskrit of the great Tao gradually became magnificent and vast. Splash! An endless amount of spirit spring water suddenly gushed out. The heaven and earth of the 10th direction territory moved and changed because of it. 800 years passed in the blink of an eye. In the 10th direction territory, with the palace condensed by Qianhao as the core, the heaven and earth within a radius of tens of millions of miles were full of vitality, and the spiritual spring was torrential. The figures of the human cultivators had already sat cross-legged, and their bodies and minds were calm and peaceful. They were immersed in the magnificent and vast Tao sound, floating in the endless spiritual spring, like newborn babies, without any thoughts, desires. In a trance, their auras became stronger and stronger. Break and then stand, break out of the cocoon and become a butterfly. In the palace, Qianhao, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly stopped the chanting of the Sanskrit of the great Tao. A light flashed between his eyebrows and a graceful and exquisite figure, full of essence, qi and spirit, and releasing an extremely powerful aura, curled up her smooth and jade-like body and floated in front of Qianhao. Qianhao gently took her into his arms. He bent down and stared at her. When he saw her slightly frowning but suddenly hiding her little face in his arms, Qianhao showed a smile at the corner of his mouth. Then he gently raised his hand and cupped her beautiful little face. "You're sick and you need to be cured," Qianhao suddenly said. The moment she opened her eyes, he kissed her seductive red lips. Third update, less than 3 days left, begging for monthly votes. The pursuers are fierce, please. Chapter 1075. Qin Shui, who had fallen into a deep sleep for 100 years, did not know what had happened, nor did she know what the current situation was. She only felt as if she had been reborn. Her physical body, spirit and soul in her perception had all become much, much stronger. The entire heaven and earth, the entire world in her perception had become crystal clear. The moment she woke up, she felt that she was embraced by the most familiar smell. Even though she did not open her eyes, she knew that he was staring at her. It had been more than 10,000 years. Felt like a dream. She did not dare to open her eyes, afraid that it was really a dream. She hoped that this feeling would last forever and never disappear again. However, when her little face was held up, when the words "You're sick, you have to be cured," entered her ears, she had no choice but to open her eyes. It was not a dream, it was all real. Seeing that face quickly approaching, she did not hide, did not close her eyes, and when her delicate lips were embraced, she even more passionately welcomed it. Even though there were many things she wanted to ask and clarify at this moment, she threw everything to the back of her mind. A long-awaited kiss. Separated for more than 10,000 years, the abandoned lips. How could she let other emotions affect this intoxicating feeling? She, who was completely naked, responded passionately, took the initiative, kissed, tightly hugged, and wrapped around his body. Tears of happiness flowed out from her wide-open eyes that never closed. Her beautiful face flushed red, her delicate body became hot and pink, and naturally, a tide that was born in a secluded path and died with the feeling of spring. How? Yes. Want me? Yes. Want me? What? Want me? Want me? Want me? Qin Shui suddenly used strength and tore Qianhao's Taoist robe. Greetings to the killing god. Greetings to the killing god. Greetings to the killing god. 1, 2, 3 more and more voices, from weak to strong, instantly became a majestic shout that resounded through heaven and earth. Every voice was filled with endless excitement, worship and reverence. The voices became louder and louder and more people were shouting. Qin Shui, who was tearing apart Qianhao's Taoist robe, suddenly froze. Her pretty face turned red, and her eyes were filled with resentment as she looked at Qianhao. Qianhao hugged her and kissed her hard on the face. He hugged her fiercely and pinched her round buttocks with his big hands. "Xiao Shui, it's not my fault. When I let you out, I stopped using my Tao voice. They've all woken up. I missed it too, I missed it even more than you. Bah. I don't want to." Qin Shui said shyly with resentment. After she finished speaking, a ray of light flashed between her eyebrows, and she immediately put on her underwear, soft armor, and a blue dress. She turned her face away in a charming manner, raised her chin and snorted. Qin Hao stared blankly, his heart filled with a strange feeling. Qin Shui, who had finally acted coquettishly, thought that Qin Hao would come to coax her, but there was no movement for a long time. She was so angry that she stomped her feet, but when she turned around, Qin Hao once again held her waist. Greetings to the killing god. Greetings to the killing god. What made Qin Hao and Qin Shui frown was that this greeting, which spoiled the mood, seemed to be deliberately against them, suddenly raised 2 pitches. Is the war over? Where are Xiao Wu and the others? Although Qin Shui did not know what was going on, she already knew the current scene. All the suffering had become a thing of the past, so she did not ask until now. They'll wake up in a few days. They're all here. Qin Hao pointed at his forehead and said, the war ended 100 years ago. I said that when you wake up, I'll pierce through the sky for you. No one can bully my Xiao Shui, my woman, my brothers and sisters. I want them to pay 1,000 times, 10,000 times the price. Next, I'll cut the weeds and eliminate the roots, leaving no survivors. In the 10 Directions territory, except for the human race, everyone will die. The arrogant and cold murderous aura became more and more intense with Qin Hao's words. It made Qin Shui's delicate body tremble, but her heart was filled with warmth. She stared at Qin Hao in a daze, brimming with pride and gratitude. This was her cultivation partner, her man. But Qin Hao suddenly changed the topic and the murderous aura around him dissipated. He looked at Qin Shui and said, I'm thinking before the war starts, should we fight 1,000 rounds? Pfft. Qin Shui, who was moved by this man who wanted to pierce through the sky for her, suddenly burst out laughing. She pushed Qin Hao away and said, You're not serious, I don't want to think about it. Really? It's none of your business. Forget it, I'm not ready either. We've persevered until now and we only care about persevering for a while more. We'll wait for you to step into Hongmeng. Let's go, we'll chase them away. As Qin Hao spoke, he took Qin Shui's hand. Endless immortal light and Taoist principles immediately surrounded the 2 of them. With a buzz, the 2 of them directly appeared in the void above the palace. Killing God. Killing God. Killing God. In an instant, the human clan cultivators who had been kneeling on the ground burst into cheers that resounded through the heavens and earth. Qin Hao stroked the void with one hand, and the hundreds of thousands of human cultivators felt an irresistible gentle force lift them up. It's been 100 years. Now instead of worshipping me, you should avenge your dead brothers and sisters and fellow humans. I believe that with your current strength, you'll be able to defeat the defeated foreign tribes. You go first and Ao Tian's core generals will join you later. We only have one goal, and that is to kill all the foreign tribes in the 10 Directions territory. Kill. 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 Sensing the boundless killing intent from Qin Hao's body, all the human cultivators who seemed to have been reborn, suddenly burst into loud shouts that resounded through heaven and earth. Their murderous auras condensed into a towering killing intent that dimmed the heavens and the earth. Go wash the 10 Directions territory with blood. Yes. Wash the 10 Directions territory with blood. Wash the 10 Directions territory with blood. Qin Hao didn't use his Taoist voice at all, but the remaining hundreds of thousands of human cultivators seemed to be filled with adrenaline. They automatically formed an army around the powerhouses and divided into 10 directions. The battle was monstrous and they roared the slogan, Wash the 10 Directions territory with blood. After watching everyone leave quickly, Qin Shui looked at Qin Hao in horror and said, How did you do it? What? Their strength has obviously improved a lot. How is that possible? Oh, it has nothing to do with me. I just helped them break and then rebuild with the help of my Taoist voice and spiritual spring. You did the same and so did Xiao Wu and the others. However, of course the treatment is many times better than theirs. Qin Hao shrugged and said indifferently. 4th update seeking monthly votes. Just a little bit more soon. Chapter 1076. You've changed. It hasn't changed. Qin Shui looked at Qin Hao's puzzled look, and the corners of her mouth revealed a happy smile as she continued. You've changed, but you haven't changed. Qin Shui couldn't pinpoint exactly what had changed. She only felt that Qin Hao was very different from before, but nothing seemed to have changed. The only thing that had changed was his strength. It might not be difficult to help her, Helian Wuzi, Lan Feng and the others improve, but it was hundreds of thousands of human cultivators, and they were all Daluo Jingxian of the same realm. What kind of strength was needed to do that? Qin Hao didn't seem to care about the Dao sound and the help of the spirit spring. But how amazing was it that one person's Dao sound could affect hundreds of thousands of people at the same time? The spirit spring, the supreme grade spirit spring, and it was a supreme grade spirit spring that was many times better than before. Could supply hundreds of thousands of Daoyuo Jingxian for 100 years. What kind of wealth was that? But all of this was nothing to Qin Hao. This was the true portrayal of a man attaining the Tao and his chickens and dogs rising to heaven. A man attaining the Tao might not even consider the chickens and dogs around him, but the aura he released inadvertently had an impact on them. To Qin Hao, such an insignificant action could transform hundreds of thousands of human cultivators, allowing them to break out of their cocoons and become butterflies. Not to mention Qin Shui and the other most important women in Qin Hao's life, his brothers and sisters. Tell me. I want to know. The two of them didn't return to the palace but sat together on the floor. Qin Shui snuggled up to Qin Hao's chest and said softly. She knew that such a feeling, such an opportunity to be alone, was very rare. Even if a cultivator had a long life, such an opportunity was very rare for her. He didn't belong to her alone. She couldn't have him alone. Love was selfish for everyone. No matter how much she wanted it, she could only share it with the other girls. Otherwise it would only be a headache for Qin Hao. She wouldn't do that. What do you want to know? I want to know everything. The previous battle, the experience of more than 10,000 years. Especially who you know. Xiao Shui, are you talking about women? You're not allowed to hide anything. Yes, my dear wife. It's a long story. It's really hard to explain. Many times I have no choice but to do it. It's hard to talk about it. Xiao Shui, I won't say it, you see for yourself. Okay. Qin Hao directly condensed the light of memory and sent it to Qin Shui, who was glaring at him with resentful eyes. Annihilation, Nirvana of True Self, Second Anima, Milky Way Star Field, Extraterrestrial Life, Primal Chaos World, Hongmeng Domain, Milky Way Tunnel, 10 Directions Domain. Qin Shui watched bit by bit, her expression constantly changing, her mood fluctuating along with Qin Hao's experience. Qin Hao kept staring at Qin Shui's expression. He was a little nervous because he didn't hide anything from anyone. Almost all of his experience and state of mind at that time were completely presented to Qin Shui. Although white lies were good, Qin Hao wouldn't do that. From the beginning until now, he basically didn't hide anything from the women. A lie, even if it was white, would be covered up with countless lies. It didn't match his Tao heart and he would let down the women. Several hours later, Qin Shui opened her eyes and looked at Qin Hao, then gently leaned on Qin Hao's shoulder again. In the future, let's never separate again, okay? Okay. In the future, your 9 lives or 10 lives except when necessary will be separated, okay? Okay. Now you try to give me a little more time, okay? Cough cough. Xiao Shui, once combined 9 or 10 of me, even if separated, will still be me. There's no difference. Then put a label on 1/9 or 1/10 of you and put my name on one of them. Give me as much as you can, okay? Qin Hao's forehead was full of black lines and was full of regret and self-blame. Okay. Qin Shui will always be yours and only belong to you. I'll be at your beck and call. Oh no, anytime and anywhere I'll be with you and never be separated. Qin Hao gently pulled Qin Shui into his arms and said. Then don't. If we don't divide evenly, others will have opinions. Qin Shui said and then burst out laughing and continued, I'm joking with you. In the future, after 9 lives are combined, don't separate anymore. Just take some time like now and accompany me. That's enough. Otherwise, if you have 9 or 10 of you and you go around fooling around, there will be even more. Cough cough. Qin Hao was really speechless this time. How could this little brain have such a rich imagination? Xiao Shui, don't worry, I promise in the future that I won't. Shoo. Qin Shui stretched out a finger and blocked Qin Hao's lips and said, I don't need your promise. I've seen and understood that many times, just like what you said, I can't help myself. Maybe it's all destined. As long as you have me in your heart, it's fine. I have a very high awareness and I already had such awareness when I wasn't with you. Xiao Wu Xiao Yan Yu. They all started earlier than me. But I didn't expect so many. But it seems to be inevitable. In the future we will never leave you again, even if we stay in the big world in your mind. We have to look after you. I found that every time you leave, there will always be a woman who will automatically come to you and automatically have sex with you. Whether it's kindness or resentment, whether it's hatred or love. It's all the same in the end, cough cough. Qianhao was embarrassed and he felt even more embarrassed. There was nothing to argue and nothing to say. The fact seemed to be like this. Xiao Shui, don't just talk about me. In these 10,000 years, I haven't had time to understand your situation. Show me. Qianhao asked. You still don't know? I don't know. When I saw you, you were all seriously injured. When I saw Xiao Wu and the others, perhaps because they saw me, their bodies and minds were on the verge of collapse. I simply stimulated them to collapse and they fell into a deep sleep like you. Our experience is very simple. In addition to cultivation, there is still cultivation and there is also the development of believers of Aotian. There is nothing else. Details. I want to know all the details. Show me. Qianhao said. No need, right? Qin Shui said. Do you still have something to hide from me? It's really nothing, it's just some meaningless things. Right. Take a look. Qin Shui spoke helplessly when she saw Qianhao staring at her, and then a strand of light of memory slowly rose up from between her brows. 5th update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1077. Cultivating, praying, developing believers. Cultivating, praying, cultivating. When Qianhao finished looking at the light of memories that Qin Shui had refined, he did not say anything and only hugged Qin Shui tighter. Simple, pure. Just like what Qin Shui had said, she did not have much experience at all. For more than 10,000 years, cultivating and praying had taken up almost all of her and Helian Wuxi's time. Although Qin Shui had deliberately played down the feelings when praying, how could Qianhao not feel it? More than 10,000 years of waiting, more than 10,000 years of unforgettable yearning. Women were that simple. Perhaps this was the difference between men and women. Men would love every woman they met, and would occasionally use their lower body to consider problems. But women, the vast majority of them, could do it from the beginning to the end. Once someone intruded into her heart, they would become the only one, making her give everything, give all her feelings, and could not tolerate anyone else. Roar. In the world of Qianhao's mind, in the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood, Coiling Dragon stepped on the mountain of white bones and roared to the sky. Rumble, whoosh. The mountain of bones collapsed, the sea of blood roared, and endless fear and pressure, as if frightened by the terrifying aura on Coiling Dragon's body, retreated far away. At the same time, the immortal scripture Tao marks that Qianhao had condensed also disappeared in the sea of blood and the mountain of corpses under Coiling Dragon's bright eyes. Senior brother. Senior brother. Coiling Dragon roared excitedly to the sky. Amazing. In the outside world, Qianhao, who was sitting side by side with Qin Shui and enjoying the faint warmth, felt the aura that suddenly came from the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood, and was slightly surprised. What? Qin Shui turned her head, raised her beautiful face and asked. Coiling Dragon. This guy's potential is endless. The divine race's divine king body was used by him, but only temporarily. I didn't expect. You will know when you see it. As Qianhao spoke, a crystal light flashed between his eyebrows. Boom. Whoosh. A raging and violent aura, along with the crystal light between Qianhao's eyebrows, suddenly appeared in front of the two. The moment it appeared, an earth-shattering pressure and terrifying blood chi exploded the air, forming gusts of wind. Ha! Coiling Dragon laughed wildly. With a boom, his physical body, true yuan essence, chi and soul suddenly soared once more. That aura, that appearance, let alone Qin Shui, even Qianhao was stunned. This is Lu Qianri's body? Qin Shui asked in disbelief. Sister-in-law, of course. However, this body seems to have been tailor-made for me. Look, the compatibility is perfect. It has completely transformed into my appearance. This is great. If she really looks like Lu Qian, she would be fucking ugly. When Pan Long saw Qianhao and Qin Shui together, his eyes flashed. After a moment of surprise, he immediately laughed excitedly. Pan Long's words made Qianhao laugh out loud. Qin Shui also couldn't help laughing. The two of them didn't have any objections to this tall and sturdy body that was like an iron tower. However, if they were to say that it was handsome, it really wasn't on the same level. To be honest, although Lu Qianri was lacking, the appearance of his physical body was definitely much better than Pan Long's current appearance. However, the two of them were naturally more happy to see Pan Long's current appearance. Sister-in-law, I thought that my improvement was fast enough. I didn't expect that. You're not inferior to me. it's not the same. Your improvement was completely through your own tempering. I only had this transformation with the help of your senior brother. Qin Shui said with a rare happy smile on her face. Pan Long's physical body had collapsed and his origin spirit had left. Ever since she met up with Chen Hao, she had fallen into a deep slumber. Now that she was able to see Pan Long come back from the dead, and be even stronger than before, Qin Shui felt joy from the bottom of her heart. Junior brother, I'm thinking, your soul origin. Do you think it has something to do with the Divine King physique? Your compatibility is beyond imagination. Qin Hao said thoughtfully while rubbing his chin as he stared at Pan Long, who was as tall as 4 or 5 people. Can't be, right? Senior brother, you can't say that. Your junior brother is 100% pure savage tribe bloodline. When I ascend to the Grand Mist realm, I'll try adding some blood essence to your body or refine it into a new body. You can try again. If it's still 100% compatible with your body, it means that your soul origin is a perverse existence. If that's really the case, I can let you try refining it with my undying bloodline origin. Ah, it's great. However, senior brother, there's no need to try. I've taken over the body of a foreign cultivator before. Although he was originally a weakling, my compatibility with him was not good at all even after refining for a long time. Lu Qianrui's body was just a coincidence and it just so happened to suit me, Pan Long said. But you have to try. Although Lu Qianrui's physical body is strong and it suits your temperament, the physical body of a god tribe is still limited by the laws of divine abilities. Otherwise, even if you don't have an extreme-level physical body as your cultivation level increases, you will become one, Qin Hao said. That's true. Senior brother, are the sisters-in-law Lan Feng and the others here? Pan Long did not continue with his question. Instead, he asked what he was most concerned about. When he entered the mountain of corpses and sea of blood, he was also cut off from the outside world. They're all here, senior brother. And Xiaonan, is there any hope? You have countless laws of divine abilities. Is there any way? Although Pan Long did not want to talk about it, he could not help but ask. Xiaonan was Qin Hao's younger brother. After so many years of being together, they had a brotherly relationship and he treated Xiaonan as his younger brother. Du Jing was also his sworn brother who grew up fighting with him. When he learned that Du Jing had sacrificed himself and turned into countless poisonous bugs, he even wanted to die. Qin Hao's expression darkened and he said, "For now, I know. Wait until I reach the Hongmeng realm, then we'll see." 3,000 great paths and endless divine abilities symbolize the peak of a cultivator's existence. Unfortunately, Qin Hao was still limited by his cultivation level and he still understood very little. Senior brother, sisters-in-law, then I'll go first. A hint of pain appeared on Pan Long's face, but he quickly suppressed it. Then his eyes shone with boundless killing intent as he spoke. Go. Qin Hao and Qin Shui did not say much. Naturally, they knew what Pan Long was going to do. How? Accompany them. Accompany each of them alone. I'm going to. Okay. Life and death are up to fate. We have to be more open-minded. Qin Shui said softly. Then she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Qin Hao lightly on the lips. Then her body slowly dissipated, turning into a gust of wind and flashing away. First update. Transitional chapter. Writing very, very slowly. Dark Mountain continues. Chapter 1078. Bastard. In Qin Hao's mind, in an independent space, Hu Mainyang slowly woke up. The moment she woke up and saw that she was completely naked, she was shocked at first. Then her face flushed red. Her eyes flickered for a while before she clenched her fists and cursed at the void. Whoosh. Immediately, the Tao laws around her surged and her lithe body, which was faintly flickering with runes, shot up. Breaking and re-establishing, breaking out of the cocoon and becoming a butterfly. I won't thank you, bastard. You said thank you to me in front of so many people. Not only did you embarrass me, but you also transmitted your last sentence to me. What do you want them to think? Hu Mainyang gritted her teeth as she sensed the surging power in her body and the transformation of her soul and state of mind. She was embarrassed. Very embarrassed. She had always thought highly of herself and was as proud as a peacock. It would be strange if she did not take Qin Hao's thank you for treating her as an outsider. Although there was no agreement between them from what he did, in which aspect did he not already regard him as his path protector? Although he had explained it before she fell into a deep sleep, He had transmitted his words. What would Hellion Wuxia and the others think of her? It was not strange for such petty thoughts to appear in a woman's mind. In particular, she had already regarded Chen Hao as her guardian. In front of Chen Hao's companions she could not ignore it. Bastard! Who are you scolding? Ah! Hu Mainyang shrieked. She suddenly covered her breasts and closed her legs. At the same time, countless Dao laws rolled out. Her undergarments, soft armor and Taoist robes covered her body. Rogue! I can't help it. Since I want to help you temper, I can't wear clothes. Besides, it's not like I haven't seen it before. Chen Hao said with a smile. In his heart he could not help but admire Hu Mainyang's amazing willpower. According to his estimation, Hu Mainyang, who had just woken up from a deep sleep, would at least be confused for a while like Chen Shui. He did not expect Hu Mainyang to jump up right after he brought her out. She was naked and alive in front of him. This visual conflict was much stronger than when she was in a deep sleep. Boom. Hu Mainyang was already angry. Now that she saw Chen Hao's smile, his indifferent appearance and his shameless words, she became even angrier. Her aura suddenly surged and an incomparably resplendent seven-colored light bloomed from between her eyebrows. She punched towards Chen Hao. As expected of an untamed rouge horse. Chen Hao's eyes narrowed. He gently opened his hand and an endless amount of immortal light and rolling Taoist principles annihilated Hu Mainyang's powerful punch. At the same time he directly grabbed her hand. You, don't be discouraged. Although I haven't stepped into the Hongmeng realm, I'm still considered a Hongmeng. If you have the energy, go kill non-humankind warriors. Bastard you, why are you doing this to me? How did I treat you? Fine. Just pretend I didn't say anything. You really think I'm going to follow you? I'm leaving. Hu Mainyang felt Chen Hao's iron-like hand that could not be shaken at all. Her delicate body trembled. After she finished speaking, she abruptly pulled away and shot up into the sky. Bam. However, as soon as she flew out, she crashed into Chen Hao's chest. Her eyes were almost filled with stars. Hu Mainyang immediately realized what was going on. She snorted coldly and turned around to flee in another direction. Bam. However, Chen Hao was like a teleportation wall that blocked her path again. Hu Mainyang gritted her teeth. He tried again and again and again. After dozens of times, tears welled up in her eyes. She glared fiercely at Chen Hao and said, If you don't care about me, why did you keep me? If I don't care about you, why did I keep you? Since when did you care about me? Since when did I not care about you? You just don't. What do I have to do to be considered caring? Like this? Chen Hao, who was standing in front of Hu Mainyang, suddenly moved forward and kissed Hu Mainyang forcefully. Hu Mainyang struggled but could not break free. She suddenly made up her mind and opened her delicate lips, allowing Chen Hao to enter. Then, Chen Hao suddenly screamed and retreated with his tongue sticking out. How dare you bite me, Hu Mainyang? I'll bite you. I'll bite you to death. Come on, come on. Chen Hao stared at Hu Mainyang angrily. Hu Mainyang was not afraid at all. On the contrary, seeing Chen Hao like this, she was very happy to provoke him. After the two of them stared at each other for a few seconds, Chen Hao suddenly laughed and said, This is the true color of a rouge horse. So you like to bite? I like to bite you. I'll bite you to death. You dare to bully me now that you've grown up? Dream on. Actually, I like to be bitten by you too. Chen Hao said. You're crazy. Hu Mainyang could not understand what the eccentric Chen Hao was trying to do. But the look in his eyes was very shameless. Don't stop me. From now on, I have nothing to do with you. I don't want to see you anymore. Hu Mainyang leaped up again, but after flying for a moment she suddenly stopped. Alright, then you can go. Chen Hao did not chase after her. Instead he shook his head and said. Hu Mainyang was furious. I'll fight you to the death. This time Hu Mainyang did not leave. She directly pounced on Chen Hao with bared fangs and brandished claws. She did not use her divine ability at all. Anyway, it was useless even if she used it. Since she did not use it, Chen Hao naturally did not use it either. In the end, Hu Mainyang rushed over and pushed Chen Hao down. She pressed on top of him and opened her mouth to bite everywhere. Chen Hao seemed to let out a miserable scream as he struggled with all his might. After Chen Hao resisted, A few times he blocked Hu Mainyang with his mouth and bit her. Qin Hao did not hesitate to attack again. His tongue was still bitten, but this time he did not care at all. He continued. Not only that, but his big hand also wandered around this arrogant rouge horse's body without restraint. After a while, Hu Mainyang's struggling gradually quieted down and fell into a serious kiss. Hu Mainyang knew that she had lost. She had lost completely. Although she had lost a long time ago, at least she did not lose face. But now she had lost everything. This was obviously Qin Hao's intention, but she still fell into it step by step in the end. Just like how she could not control her grievances and tears before falling into a deep sleep. Mainyang, actually, I really like to bite. Why don't you bite me? When they were very restless, Qin Hao and Hu Mainyang separated from each other and didn't continue. They lay on their backs and didn't look at each other. After calming down for a while, Qin Hao suddenly turned his head and looked at Hu Mainyang. You're crazy. Hu Mainyang glared at Qin Hao and said. However, Qin Hao chuckled and whispered something in Hu Mainyang's ear. Second update, begging for votes. Please everyone. Chapter 1079. Hu Mainyang frowned slightly and said, What's wrong with that? What do you mean? Cough cough. Right. Do what you need to do. When you return to the vast universe galaxy, resign from your saintess position. How can I do that? I need a successor. Successor my ass. The reason your Misty Rain Pavilion has those rules is entirely because your strength is weak. I've given them a large amount of spiritual items and magic treasures so that the Misty Rain Pavilion can directly develop into a top sect. When the time comes, I'll help you settle it. My woman, I don't like to show my face in public. I don't want you to spread your peacock tail in front of others and attract bees and butterflies. Take off your mask of hypocrisy and live your domineering and true self. I don't know how to say anything touching and I don't know how to coax you. 10,000 years ago we didn't have an agreement. Today, 10,000 years later, you and Little Snow are harmonious, or rather merged into one body. I know what that means. Of course, the narrow-minded, you might feel wronged if I say this. Actually, you don't have to. In the primal mystic realm, we went from being enemies to being enemies. You and I know what that feels like. A woman like you is something that all men want to conquer. I'm not a woman. Feelings are always mutual. When you conquer, you'll also be conquered. Go, Little Wu is awake. Little Snow and Coiling Dragon are already there. Hu Mainyang was a little confused by Qin Hao's string of overbearing words, but this time she felt very comfortable listening to it. She asked, You haven't seen Xiao Wu and the others yet? When she saw that Qin Hao didn't answer, she curled her lips and glanced at Qin Hao with a seductive expression. She snorted and suddenly transformed into a flowing light that left proudly. Little Wu and the others just didn't wake up earlier than you. Once a woman falls, she becomes a fool. He's so easy to trick. Plus, I'm too awesome. How can there be a rouge horse in this world that I can't tame? If Hu Mainyang were to hear Qin Hao's muttering, she would definitely go mad with anger. Pfft. Little girl, didn't I tell you not to look and listen? A burst of laughter suddenly sounded out in his mind, causing Qin Hao to frown slightly. I'm sorry, I just happened to be looking for you. I just happened to overhear. Qin Hao, you're so domineering, so strong, so manly, but do you like to bite? Fuck. That Hu Mainyang doesn't even understand such shallow things. How stupid. That's called pure, okay? Do you think everyone in the Sky River sector can understand all this nonsense? Qin Hao reprimanded with a dark expression on his face. The spirit chi in the Sky River sector had been extinguished, and the civilization on the road of science and technology was almost exactly the same as the civilization on Earth. The current state of society, culture, morals, media, communication, and so on, if one did not know that they were two different worlds, there would be no difference at all. Including the language and popular things, everything was exactly the same. This was a very inconceivable and unbelievable thing, but it was the truth. Qin Hao even suspected that there was some kind of connection between Earth and the Sky River sector. TSK. I'm still very pure, don't you understand? You're a little girl, aren't you shy? What's there to be shy about? I'm destined to be your woman, isn't it normal to talk about this? Hurry up and say it. In the future, don't peep without my permission. I really don't understand, your divine sense is obviously very weak, but you can hide it from me. You're so annoying. After you fuse, you'll find that the person you like is no worse than them. Big sister, can we talk about it after the fusion? Xiao Wu is awake. What's the matter? Hurry up and say it. Open the mountain of corpses and blood sea to me. My consciousness wants to go in and cultivate. Little nurse Lu Hui said unhappily. So fierce? Hey, if you're not afraid, go in. Hey. Qin Hao directly sent out a strand of divine sense, opening the mountain of corpses and blood sea to the little nurse. Also your brother Du Jing. They're all dead. Don't you want to go to the place where they died? At least set up a cenotaph to mourn them, right? You only know how to be intimate with your woman. Cough. This is already the world of cultivation, not you. Hey, I should go. Maybe they really left something behind before they died. Qin Hao wanted to refute, but then his heart sank and he muttered. What Qin Hao didn't know was that in the sealed space in his mind, little nurse Lu Hui's pretty face revealed a smug look. I'll give you a surprise. The second life likes me the most. I want you to like me too. Although it's all you. Who knows when you'll fuse. So handsome, so manly. Although the little nurse had awakened some memories that didn't belong to her, these memories didn't have any effect on her state of mind. Only the awakening of divine sense and unique skills. Her personality didn't change at all. A light flashed between his eyebrows and Helian Wuxia, who had been awake for a while and was neatly dressed, appeared in front of Qin Hao. Her pretty face was as cold as the moon, her graceful figure, and the ethereal aura after the awakening of the endless cycle of reincarnation made Helian Wuxia's unique temperament even more soul-stirring. Helian Wuxia, who had just broken out of her cocoon and become a butterfly, her soul, state of mind and physical body had all undergone a metamorphosis. As she looked around, bright chaotic divine light bloomed from her eyes. Her aura was even stronger than that of Hu Mainyang and Qin Shui. She just stood there, but she gave people a feeling that they couldn't bear to blaspheme and didn't dare to look directly at her. Goddess. Even Qin Hao couldn't help but praise her in his heart. It wasn't that Helian Wuxia was more beautiful than Qin Shui and Hu Mainyang, but the extraordinary temperament of her endless cycle of reincarnation wasn't something that Qin Shui and Hu Mainyang could have now. Hao, come, let brother take good care of you. Qin Hao, who was a little stunned, immediately threw the goddess to the back of his mind. No matter how noble and cold the goddess was, she was still his woman. As he spoke, he pulled Helian Wuxia into his arms. Unlike Hu Mainyang before falling into a coma, Helian Wuxia, who knew that Qin Hao even had several children, directly asked to see all of Qin Hao's experiences. He was very puzzled. She wasn't surprised that Qin Hao had a few more women. What was strange was that he even had children. Cultivators weren't mortals. They could only have children if they wanted to. Before they were ready to have children, it was necessary to cultivate energy into qi. She didn't think that Qin Hao would have the idea of having children now. How could he have children? Tianhe sector. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is extinct. The chaotic space outside also has no spiritual energy of heaven and earth? How? Is this true? What Qin Hao didn't expect was that Helian Wuxia, who had just looked at the light of memory he had condensed for a while, suddenly showed a look of surprise and looked at him to ask. Until now there are only 13 votes today. I'm crying. The pursuers are getting closer and farther away. There's only a little more than a day left. I really don't want to be defeated. Please everyone, with the support of the monthly votes, Wuxian. Wuxian continued to write. Chapter 1080. Of course it's true. What's wrong? Qin Hao was puzzled. Nirvana space. It might be the Nirvana space. Helian Wuxia said with a hint of excitement and surprise. Nirvana space? What's that? Qin Hao was even more puzzled. Not to mention that his realm was not there yet. Even if his realm was there, he who cultivated without a teacher did not have much understanding of the concept of the Nirvana space. In my awakened memories, before I was sent into the endless cycle of reincarnation by my master and many powerful experts, I heard them mention the Nirvana space. The characteristic of the Milky Way sector should be the Nirvana space. It's a space formed after the collapse of the greater thousand worlds controlled by the immortal emperor and peak existences. All the spiritual energy of heaven and earth would condense into the body of the immortal emperor, turning into the spirit of all things and falling into the eternal cycle of reincarnation. When he truly awakens again, the Nirvana space would once again become a greater thousand world. The ancient powerful figures and cultivators would all see the light of day again and start a new era. Oh. Qin Hao was slightly surprised. At that time my master on the other side. The master of our greater thousand world was only a hair's breadth away from becoming an immortal emperor. But it was just a hair's breadth away that caused our greater thousand world to have no hope of starting a new era. Little Wu, you mean that when you reach the immortal emperor realm, you can revive all the collapsed cultivators? I'm not very clear about the details. At that time, they were preparing to work together to condense the inextinguishable imprint for me. I only heard it. However, it's all related to the immortal emperor's incarnation of the spirit of all things. That's the endless cycle of reincarnation of the immortal emperor. The spirit of all things gives birth to all things in the world. As long as there's a little imprint left in the nirvana space, after he fully awakens and recovers his strength, he can trace back to the origin and be reborn again. I don't know if it's a real revival. Maybe it is. Hellion Wuxia naturally knew what Qin Hao was thinking, but she really did not know the details. Even her master back then did not know. The immortal emperor was only a legendary existence. Even in today's the great world of Xiandi, it was uncertain whether there was an immortal emperor. Lu Hui. While Qin Hao was frowning in contemplation, Hellion Wuxia suddenly spoke again. Could it be the soul of all living things? Through the light of Qin Hao's memory, Hellion Wuxia had learned about the existence of the little nurse, Lu Hui. She also learned that Qin Hao had taken all the natural people of the Sky River sector into his mind's macro world. Of course, he also knew that Lu Hui had an innate spirit body, and that she had obtained an astonishing improvement in a short period of time. To be precise, it was an inconceivable improvement. In particular, in the memories that Qin Hao had passed to her, Lu Hui's divine sense was extremely mysterious. She was clearly only in the heaven immortal realm, but Qin Hao could not lock onto her. Hellion Wuxia couldn't help but be suspicious. When Qin Hao heard Hellion Wuxia's words, his heart skipped a beat. The more he thought about it, the more likely it was. You wait. Qin Hao said to Hellion Wuxia. After he finished speaking, his divine sense directly integrated into the sealed space in his mind. Lu Hui. Ah. What are you doing? Qin Hao suddenly transformed his divine sense into a form and entered the sealed space in his mind. When he locked onto Lu Hui's aura and appeared in front of her, he was shocked. At the same time he was also shocked. She was sweating profusely. Her whole body was filled with a Dao Law aura that was weak to Qin Hao, but was so mysterious that he could not understand it at all. In front of Lu Hui there were 3 pure bloodline vitality pulsating. Qin Hao, why did you suddenly come? I was cultivating. You scared me to death. Lu Hui's eyes were full of panic, but she immediately pretended to be angry and said, What is this? Qin Hao's expression was full of shock as he looked at the 3 pulsating bloodline vitality. His eyes widened and from shock to excitement he said with a trembling voice. It's nothing, Qi. As Lu Hui spoke, she suddenly waved her hand, and the 3 balls of bloodline vitality entered between her eyebrows. Qin Hao grabbed Lu Hui's shoulder and stared straight at Lu Hui, who was avoiding his gaze, and asked, Nirvana space, spirit of all things. It's you, right? What Nirvana space, spirit of all things? After hearing Qin Hao's words, Lu Hui was no longer panicked. She stared at Qin Hao, who was formed by his divine sense, and asked curiously. Still pretending? Qin Hao asked. Qin Hao, why are you so fierce? I wanted to give you a surprise. I'm so tired and you're still fierce to me. The nurse, Lu Hui, looked at Qin Hao's fierce appearance and immediately said with grievance, tears welling up in her eyes. You really don't know? Qin Hao looked at the nurse's expression and his heart softened. His urgent tone became gentler. You're talking about Nirvana space, spirit of all things. How would I know? I just wanted to help you save your brother Du Jing and Lin Xia. I'm so tired. You're still fierce to me. Save. Qin Hao's expression suddenly became incomparably excited again. He said, Little Hui, you can really do it? At this time Qin Hao was sure that the nurse, Lu Hui, was the spirit of all things that Hellion Wuxia had mentioned. In his previous life she was an immortal emperor-level expert, the master of the Sky River sector. Otherwise, how could she save people whose bodies and souls were destroyed with such a low level of cultivation? Moreover, although the divine power law that the nurse had condensed just now had a weak aura, its profoundness had completely exceeded his scope of understanding. This was definitely not something that an ordinary person could do. I should be able to. It's just that my current realm is too weak. When I use this divine power law, it's easier to save some dead flowers and plants, kittens and puppies. It's difficult to save those who have just died. It's harder to save those who have been dead for a long time. It's even harder. It consumes too much energy. This is also the reason why you spent so much energy in the Spirit Spring Sea previously. Moreover, the sensing range of my divine sense is too small. Although I've integrated a lot of it into the 10-direction territory, it's still very slow. It's too difficult to capture the aura that they left behind. It's also because of this that I asked you to go to the place where they died. It's easier that way. Now, I'm only using the bloodline aura in the Mountain of Corpses and Blood Sea to trace their origin aura according to the power of their prayers that you obtained in the second life, and condense their bloodline origin for them. You can even condense this. I can condense the bloodline origin of everyone around you, but I can't condense yours. My divine sense can't sense it. Also, I can help Linger and Li Yang's souls to nurture and restore them. Aren't you fierce to me? Girl, why didn't you tell me earlier? How can I do that? If I told you earlier, what would you do if you were merciful and didn't kill those bastards of the outsiders who caused people to die with you in the second life? I was waiting for you to kill all of them before giving you a surprise. I'm the first female lead hiding behind the scenes. You must have watched too many brainless dramas. You really don't know anything about the silent space and the soul of all things? Didn't you awaken some memories? Fourth update, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1081. I've only awakened the laws of the divine ability. Nirvana space, soul of all living things, what are they? Do they have anything to do with me? Soul of all living things sounds very powerful, could it be? As Nurse Lu Hui spoke, she suddenly became excited and jumped up. Qinhao. Could it be me, could it be me? Qinhao choked. After staring at the girl for half a minute, he said, "It's not you. Watch less of those stupid dramas in the future." Then why are you asking me this? You made me excited for nothing. All right. We'll go to the place where Xiaonan collapsed immediately. What else can I help you with? If you need anything, just say the word. As long as I can do it, I'll satisfy you. The sooner the better. Qinhao said. I don't know if you can help me, but you want to let me out. Forget it, if I go out, the other you won't be happy. Who cares? Can you go out faster? That's you, don't be so cruel, okay? There's no need to go out, there's an abundant supply of heaven and earth's spiritual chi here. It won't be slow. Besides, I thought about it, before you fuse, it's better not to see them lest they get bullied by you. Qinhao opened his mouth to speak, but he couldn't say anything. He really didn't know what to say to this nurse. It seemed like she didn't have any concept of his second life and first life, completely treating them as the same person. Moreover, she seemed very sure that after he fused, he would hold her in the palm of his hand. He couldn't be sure of anything else, but Qinhao could at least be sure that she was definitely not more important than the other girls, even if Qinhao was sure that this girl should be the legendary soul of all living things, in existence at the peak of the immortal emperor level. Then you continue. I'll leave now. You're leaving just like that? Is there anything else? You're so excited and happy. Shouldn't you express your gratitude to the female lead? Qinhao stared at the young nurse who had a serious expression on her face. She slowly closed her eyes and lifted her small face. She almost stood on her tiptoes, her heartbeat quickened slightly, her breathing quickened slightly, and her face turned slightly red. He frowned slightly and hesitated for a moment. In the end, he transformed into his human form and kissed the young nurse on her cherry lips. Then he ran out of the room in terror. Even Qinhao couldn't help but admire his superhuman charm. The immortal emperor, the spirit of all living beings, was actually so affectionate to him. At the same time, Qinhao was a little worried about the future. An existence like this whose cultivation base would soar by leaps and bounds. Once it surpassed him or awakened its true memories, what would he do if it came to settle the score with him? This must be taken seriously. Moreover, he had to keep a distance from him. He could not afford to make an irreversible mistake. Unless she had not fully awakened by the time he reached the immortal emperor level. Otherwise, even if she really had feelings for him after the fusion, he had to restrain himself. That's not right. If she's really in existence at the immortal emperor level, even if the greater thousand worlds were destroyed and she transformed into the spirit of all living beings and entered the eternal cycle of reincarnation, She should have her own set and restrictions. There's no reason for her to be so easily subdued by me, right? Could it be that I'm also an incredible existence? The moment his mind stepped out of the space in his mind, Qinhao was puzzled. That's impossible. I'm indeed a special existence, but it's because of my own efforts. Qinhao knew very well how he was born. That's not right either. At this moment Qinhao was suddenly at a loss. He was him in his previous life, which was the crystallization of Li Yuan's memories, the fusion of Li Yuan's and Yi Xian's genes. However, if this kind of technological method gave birth to a life, the soul would still come from reincarnation, right? Fuck it. I'll figure it out one day. Qinhao had a headache thinking about it and gave up directly. Perhaps he was really not simple, but what did it have to do with him? He already had his own path and his own complete life. Qinhao did not think that he would destroy this life, just like Xiao Wu gave up her life before the eternal cycle of reincarnation for him and focused on this life. Then the him in this life would be the real him. The previous life is over, I only want this life. What did you say? Nothing. Xiao Wu, where Xiaonan died, do you still remember? Of course I remember. It's at the edge of the area, why? Helian Wuxia asked. Take me there. Xiaonan can be resurrected. Ah. Lu Hui should be the spirit of all living beings. Qinhao transmitted his voice to Helian Wuxia. Don't make a sound, don't let her hear you. She doesn't know her real situation. Oh. Helian Wuxia replied via sound transmission, but her cold little face was filled with shock and excitement. Xiaonan could be resurrected, this was undoubtedly something to be excited about. Moreover, since Xiaonan could be resurrected, could Du Jing Xianxia and the core members of Aotian be resurrected? After Helian Wuxia pointed out the direction, Qinhao directly grabbed Helian Wuxia and disappeared with a buzz. The great teleportation technique was activated to the extreme in an instant. Even the small wisdom number 1 could not achieve this speed. Helian Wuxia did not see the scene of Qinhao capturing the 9 golden dragons and killing millions of foreign race cultivators with her own eyes. At this moment she felt Qinhao's abnormal speed, but it made her have a clearer understanding of Qinhao's strength. She looked up to a tall mountain. He was both happy and helpless. He was happy because of Qinhao's strength, but helpless because he was also considered to be at the top of the top geniuses. However, even though they were at the same level, there was a huge gap between their strengths. He couldn't even look up to Qinhao, on the way to the place where Xiaonan collapsed in Qinhao's mind world. Besides Long Ting, who was still sleeping, Qin Yan, Xia Yiyu, Tantai Lian, Leng Ningle, Bailey Ningbing, Lan Feng, and other members of Aotian woke up one after another. Unfortunately, Qinhao did not have the chance to communicate with the girls who had been separated for more than 10,000 years. When everyone knew that Qinhao had the ability to resurrect Xiaonan, Du Jing and Lin Xia, they were shocked and excited, especially Lan Feng, who was so excited that he cried. However, Qinhao and Helian Wuxia did not tell everyone about the spirit of all living beings. This was too exaggerated for everyone, so it was better to keep it a secret for the time being. Anyway, all kinds of miraculous things had happened to him before, so no one would be too surprised if this terrifying ability was attributed to him. All of you hand over all the magic treasures, items and so on related to Xiaonan, and condense all your memories about Xiaonan. Half a month later they finally arrived at the edge of the Shifeng territory where Qinnan collapsed. At this moment, apart from Long Ting, who was still in a deep slumber, Qinhao brought out the great world in his mind and said, 5th update, looking for monthly votes. Chapter 1082. Qinnan's memories would allow Lu Hui to better grasp Qinnan's aura. Everything related to Qinnan contained Qinnan's aura imprint. The more she collected, the less effort Lu Hui would have. If there wasn't even the slightest imprint, then even the cleverest housewife couldn't cook without rice. Even Lu Hui wouldn't be able to revive Qinnan with her heaven-defying inherited abilities. Of course, that was impossible. Not to mention anything else. Just the power of faith that Qinhao's second anima had collected was enough for Lu Hui. Although Lu Hui was only in the celestial immortal realm, the time when Qinnan, Du Jing, Lin Xia, and the others died was very short compared to the time when the nirvana space disappeared in the cultivation world. Secondly, in the 10-direction territory, the primordial qi was chaotic. It was the existence that blocked all the mysteries of heaven and had the ability to seal the aura after the collapse. Without a doubt, this was the greatest help to the still weak Lu Hui. Qin Yan condensed the light of Qinnan's memories and everything related to Qinnan. She had long since cried her eyes out, Lu Hui and Qin Nan were twins, so they had been inseparable since they were young. Not to mention the things Qin Nan left behind, even Qin Yan herself could be detected by Lu Hui's subtle perception. Lu Hui could sense a large amount of Qin Nan's aura imprints. Little sister, don't cry. After Qin Hao absorbed all the memories into his mind, he pulled the grief-stricken Qin Yan into his arms and gently patted her back, comforting her. Big brother. Second brother, can you really revive him? Yes, trust me. Don't cry. Follow Xiaowu and the others and join the human army. Lead them and kill. 60 years. It'll take around 60 years. When you come back again, little Nan will appear in front of you. Go. Kill. 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 In the 10 Directions domain, the scales of victory had completely tilted towards the humans of the vast universe galaxy. As General Ao Tian led the remnants of the human army to slaughter in all directions, the foreign battlefield that connected the 10 Directions star fields and the ancient chaos-boundless universe began to play out. It was a tragic war that hadn't occurred since the 10 Directions star fields were divided. Since ancient times, the foreign battlefields had always been the battlefields where the various galaxies clashed. There were killings all the time, but under normal circumstances, these battles could only be called battles and not wars or campaigns. That was because the cultivators from the various galaxies chose to fight with the foreign races in order to train themselves. There was no distinction between friend and foe. Even the cultivators from the various galaxies would kill each other in the face of benefits. It was similar to the situation in the primitive mystic realm. However, at this moment, the flames of war had never been seen before in the foreign battleground. The number of non-human experts and cultivators was millions of times more than before. And all of this was aimed at the humans of vast universe galaxy. It was just that the 9 galaxies now had their own choices and goals to choose from. On the surface, it seemed as if they were fighting alone, but they were only exposing themselves. Kill. Boom. Angry roars resounded throughout the heavens and earth. The sounds of battle and explosions could be heard everywhere. The flames of war burned everywhere. Corpses littered the ground and blood flowed like rivers. It was 100 times, 1,000 times more terrifying than the 10 Direction territory. Hongmeng Supremes flew everywhere. Daluo Jingxian was not even qualified to be cannon fodder. This was the battlefield of the Hongmeng Supremes. How many Daluo Jingxian Supremes could compare to a Hongmeng Supremes of the same talent? This was a battle that was completely beyond the 10 Direction territory. Among the 10 galaxies, the real deciding factor was the number and combat strength of the Supremes of Hongmeng. The humans of vast universe galaxy did not have an advantage in terms of numbers compared to the other 9 galaxies. This was related to the human race's bloodline talent. In the beginning, the human race was the weakest compared to the other 9 galaxies. However, the human race had an advantage. After stepping into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, they were more well-rounded and stronger in terms of combat strength. Moreover, as time passed and they reached perfection in their minor realms, their combat strength would become stronger and stronger. This was also the reason why the rulers of the human race were always the strongest in the 10 galaxies. Qin Hao and the other cultivators in the 10 Direction territory were completely unaware of the situation in the 10 Direction galaxy. Although Qin Hao had speculated that this was not a temporary alliance through the Golden Dragon Galaxy and the other 9 galaxies alliance to kill the human race in the 10 Direction territory, it was premeditated and an agreement had been reached in the outside world. Moreover, the other party would not only target the 10 Direction territory. There must be a series of actions. However, he did not expect the war in the 10 galaxies to break out so quickly and so early. Unfortunately, whether they knew or not, it was useless. Before they advanced to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, they could not leave. Experts from the outside world could not enter. The only difference was, when the 9 Galaxies Alliance, including their rulers, saw that no one had triggered the heavenly punishment to step into the Hongmeng realm for more than 1,000 years, they all thought that the time was ripe to make a move. If they delayed any longer, the human race might sense the abnormality and be prepared. In their opinion, the Golden Dragon Galaxy, Lu Qianri, and the others had already controlled the entire 10 Direction territory. After this, the human race would not have another Supremes of Hongmeng. Tyrant's Jin family. In the depths of the core palace, a figure sat cross-legged, exuding endless immortal light and Tao nomological pressure. His aged face and powerful aura would make any cultivator's heart palpitate. This was the Jin family's patriarch. More than 10,000 years ago he was just one of the many top masters in the tyrants. However, more than 10,000 years ago he suddenly comprehended a supreme technique and became an existence that was on par with the ruler of the Chaos Galaxy and the tyrants. Even the tyrant's ruler was courteous to him and called him a brother. This time he was the instigator of the 9 Galaxies Alliance in the 10 Direction territory and the 9 Galaxies War against the human race in the chaotic Grand Thousand World. Even the overlords of the tyrants couldn't do such a thing. After all, no one in the 10 galaxies would truly trust each other. It was even more impossible for them to form an alliance. After all, in such a situation, anyone would be worried that their galaxy would follow in the footsteps of the vast universe galaxy. However, the Jin family's patriarch did it. However, at this moment the Jin family's patriarch, who was sitting cross-legged alone, frowned slightly, causing the wrinkles on his forehead to wrinkle even more. It's been 1,800 years. Why is there still no reaction? The Jin family's patriarch's aged voice muttered to himself. It doesn't take much time to comprehend the Hongmeng energy. The only thing that delayed it was refining the prototype of the Great World. Perhaps it's because of the huge harvest this time, so it needs to be refined more perfectly. Killing the humans of the vast universe galaxy should also take a lot of time. I'm overthinking. The Jin family's patriarch suppressed the little bit of uneasiness in his heart. No one knew that even Yilan would not be able to recognize this old man's true identity. The Xiao family's patriarch. Chapter 1083. The Xiao clan patriarch's 10th anima, Xiao Yan and Qin Hao, were both destroyed at the same time. However, this misfortune turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Thanks to Xiao Yan and Qin Hao's golden scales transforming into dragons, as well as the fluctuations of the Starry River Tunnel, he was able to gain enlightenment of the true 10th anima. But at that time he had to quietly leave the Xiao family in the vast universe galaxy after Qin Hao and Xiao Yan died. Because Yilan's nirvana was about to succeed. Once Yilan successfully recovered to his peak state, he was no match for Yilan and Chen Wuliang. He needed time. He needed to condense the true 10th anima. So he left. Moreover, he became the Jin family patriarch without much effort. With the 9 lives mystic technique, he had the ambition to unify the ancient chaos billions of years ago. The fusion and separation of the 9 lives were very simple. He had already paved the way. Except for the god race's innate physical body, which he could not condense, the other 8 lives were like the Jin family patriarch. They had great weight in the major galaxies and were top figures. This was also what he could do that the tyrants, or rather any tyrants, could not do, and that was to unite the 9 galaxies. The Golden Dragon was his 10th anima. 5,000 years ago he was born in the tyrant's chaotic galaxy. In the Daluo Golden Wonderland he was invincible and became the #1 person in the tyrant's Daluo Golden Wonderland. He was also known as the #1 Grand Luo in the ancient chaos vast thousand domains. Originally, the Xiao family patriarch's strength would soar if he directly fused, but this time he went all out. It was fine if he did not do it, but if he did, he would take it in one fell swoop. That was why the 9 galaxies were united and the Golden Dragon was their leader. When the Golden Dragon stepped into the supremacy of Hongmeng, his strength would be heaven-defying if he fused. At that time he would not be able to kill Yilan, but he had absolute confidence in suppressing him. Yilan. If not for Yilan, he would have already unified the ancient chaos vast thousand domains. They had been rivals for so many years. Logically speaking, he should have understood Yilan thoroughly, but Yilan always gave him a feeling that he could not completely see through him. This was also the main reason why he had only fused with the 10th anima to advance to Paragon Hongmeng. In the 10 Directions domain, as long as the Golden Dragon refined the prototype of the macro world to the peak of perfection, he would be able to establish a connection with his original body, which had transcended the 10 Directions domain's heavenly design shield, without triggering the heavenly punishment. But now more than 1,000 years had passed and there was still no connection between their auras. That was why he felt uneasy. However, after thinking about it for a while, he didn't care about it anymore. All he had to do was wait. When the Gold Dragon returned, when Hongmeng the supreme of the humankind was almost dead, it would be time for him to join forces with the 9 galaxies and attack the divine palace of the humankind. Endless darkness, fragmented fragments. Without consciousness, without thinking, it was impossible for him to have any. To life, this was no longer life but the fragments of the life imprint that had collapsed. It was just a weak strand of energy between heaven and earth. Its final fate was to merge with the most mysterious river of fate between heaven and earth, and recombine with the energy of the other life imprint fragments to form a life imprint. He would no longer be himself. After stepping into the endless cycle of reincarnation, even if he obtained a new life, it would have nothing to do with him. This was the end result of the destruction of both body and soul, or perhaps fate. In the macro world in Qianhao's mind, the little nurse, Lu Hui, was pale and sweating profusely. Every time she collapsed, she would recover to her peak state and start again. Even Qianhao, who had yet to fuse with the second anima, felt pity for her. Qianhao still didn't understand. He still couldn't sense any of the profundities of the law of divine ability that little nurse Lu Hui had condensed. However, he knew that with the little nurse's current cultivation base, using such a heaven-defying inherited divine ability would definitely cause extreme damage to her body. He felt pity for her, but he couldn't stop her. He couldn't give up because he wanted his little brother to be resurrected. Pity, heartache, but Qianhao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The only thing he could help the little nurse was to condense the pure and boundless spiritual qi of heaven and earth to help her recover as quickly as possible. However, little nurse Lu Hui didn't care about this at all. Every time she collapsed, her only request was to receive a kiss from Qianhao, who had taken the form of his divine will, a kiss of care and care. Even if Qianhao was absent-minded and touched the surface of the water lightly, she would reveal a proud and happy smile, and her beautiful face would turn red. That expression, that satisfaction, that innocence, that infatuation. Qianhao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At the same time he felt guilty and touched. Especially when he thought of the little nurse Lu Hui's true identity. An immortal emperor. What did he do to make an immortal emperor, the incarnation of the spirit of all things, so attached and infatuated? He couldn't help but kiss her half-heartedly. After the little nurse collapsed again and again, it turned into an intoxicating kiss. The little nurse, who even knew how to bite and what not to say, didn't even know how to kiss. Every time, the clumsy but passionate response and the initiative to kiss were filled with infinite passion, as if it was the most wonderful thing in the world to her. This was a very inconceivable thing. At least in Qianhao's opinion, it was very inconceivable. It was really just a kiss. How could it be as exciting as the first kiss every time? However, the little nurse's feelings couldn't be faked at all. Qianhao didn't understand, and it was impossible for him to understand. Lu Hui didn't know, and it was impossible for her to know. Billions of years, tens of thousands of lifetimes, endless reincarnation, thousands of galaxies rolling in the mortal world just for... In the endless darkness there was no time, no space, and no laws. There was only endless darkness. Fragments that ordinary people couldn't sense gradually gathered and fused together amidst the mysterious waves that cut through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. What was the nirvana of the true self? In front of this kind of mysterious summon, the gathering and reorganization of the life imprint was far from enough. The spirit of all things, the birth of all things in the world, the birth of the origin of life. In a trance, a faint wisp of consciousness slowly grew in the endless darkness. Brother, brother, brother. Brother, I still want to be your brother, your biological brother, brother. The fragments condensed into the first wisp of consciousness. In the weak consciousness, it floated, circled, and repeated over and over again, calling out, Big brother. Brother. That was Qianhao's greatest obsession and greatest hope at the last moment of his life when his body and soul were destroyed. It was an obsession that cut through the 9 heavens and 10 lands, pierced through the endless galaxies, and shook the unpredictable heavenly Tao. Qianhao, his brother, had been his idol since he was young. He had always been chasing after him, but he had never caught up. He was very tired, but he had never given up hope. He could be slow, but he couldn't stop moving forward because he firmly believed that no matter how long it took, millions of years or even tens of millions of years, as long as he could step onto the peak of martial arts, he would be able to reunite with his brother at the end, just like when he was a child with his sister, with his brother, and together. Chapter 1084. However, he did not manage to wait for that moment. In the face of such a terrifying and unstoppable attack, how could he let his sister die? His sister was not only his brother's sister, but also his brother's woman. She was also his sister. His death in exchange for his sister's life was the best outcome. Sister, when your brother comes back, remember to tell him that I want to be his brother in my next life. That way I might be able to catch up to him. Let him take revenge for me. Don't. Goodbye, sister. I'm sorry that I never had the ability to protect you. Brother, goodbye. Those were the last words he left behind in this world. With endless unwillingness and strong obsession, he burned himself and used his body and soul to block in front of his sister. In this world, other than the cultivation base at the peak of martial arts, what else could shake the unfathomable heavenly Tao? It was an obsession that could shake heaven and earth and connect the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Brother, brother. In the weak consciousness, there was a call that could only be sensed but not expressed. The young nurse, whose face was pale and covered in sweat, looked at Chen Hao, who was formed by his divine sense. Lu Hui's face was covered in tears. Chen Hao, who was formed by his divine sense, did not cry or shed tears. However, his transformed body trembled violently, trembled, until he could no longer control his emotions. He hissed and turned into a mental turbulence, dissipating in front of the young nurse, Lu Hui. Outside his mind, Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged, cried. Boundless guilt, boundless heartache. Watching Xiaonan's consciousness gradually condense and her soul origin gradually gather and recover, he should have been excited and happy. However, at this time he only felt guilt and heartache. Big brother, big brother. The words big brother were like needles that pierced into his heart and soul. Brother? Did he fulfill his responsibility as a brother? Did he? Although it had always been the hand of fate that forced Chen Hao to constantly move forward and almost could not stop for a moment, it was not entirely his fault. But at this time, Chen Hao could only blame himself deeply. Even though he had already sensed his younger brother sacrificing his life in the great 1,000 worlds of ancient chaos, shaking the heavens and shaking the earth and connecting the galaxies to pass on the Tao, the obsession in his mind had already caused him to go crazy and numb from the pain. However, at this moment Chen Hao still could not bear it. Chen Hao, don't be sad, okay? Xiaonan will come back to life soon. Everything will be fine soon. Don't be sad. The nurse's soft but trembling voice echoed in Chen Hao's mind. I'm not sad. I'm not sad at all. Girl, don't worry about me. Continue. You're sad and I'm heartbroken. Continue. I can't continue. How about you seal until you reach the second life? No need. After running away from it once, did he want to run away from it a second time? It's time for me to face it. I should have faced it long ago. I'm me and I'm also me in my second life. The time to merge will come eventually. I'm fine. Don't try to sense me anymore. Continue. Chen Hao closed his eyes. Suddenly he began to chant. The Sanskrit of the great Tao instantly drifted out from his mouth. However, at this moment the lotus blossoming tongue concept did not appear. Instead, there was only a dry grand Tao outline scripture that no one could understand or comprehend. However, Chen Hao continued to chant faster and faster. His voice became louder and louder as he repeated it over and over again. Rumble. Rumble. Mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. In the end, Chen Hao's voice became more and more terrifying and vast. Walking the great Tao alone, walking the great Tao alone, walking the great Tao alone. If this heaven, this earth, this heavenly Tao, this fate, must walk the great Tao alone in order to reach the peak of the great Tao, then why would I want the peak? I don't need it. If my brothers and sisters, family and friends all perish one by one, then what's the point of me reaching the peak of the great Tao? I don't need it. Walking the great Tao alone, I insist on walking it. After chanting for an entire month, Chen Hao suddenly stood up amidst the collapsing mountains and cracking earth. He faced the sky and kowtowed. Following that, a long roar erupted and the heavens and earth suddenly shook. Their expressions changed. Wind and clouds gathered. The great Tao is merciless just like pigs and dogs. Chen Hao pointed to the sky and cursed. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth and the endless Tao laws suddenly gathered even more crazily. Heaven, earth, fate, heavenly Tao? Fuck your mother. Buzz. Roar. The heavens and earth seemed to be furious. The wind swept the clouds and night fell. If the heavens force me, I will pierce the heavens. If the earth force me, I will destroy the earth. Heavenly Tao, fate? What the fuck? Crack. Terrifying lightning and endless heavenly might came down mightily. At this moment, the little nurse in Qinhao's mind sensed Qinhao's condition and the aura of the outside world. She was already dumbfounded and had stopped all her actions. Her eyes were dull and her face was filled with horror. It was not Qinhao's vulgar curses, but the aura that Qinhao released at this moment. It was an aura that dominated the heavens and earth. No, it was an aura that looked down on the heavenly Tao. I am me, I want to be me, I want to be me, I want to follow my heart, I want to follow my will, no one can fucking control or manipulate me. Fuck off you motherfucker. Break for me. Boom. The moment the lightning that seemed to contain the light of destruction came crashing down, Qinhao threw a punch toward the sky. Rumble. The fist light was extinguished and Qinhao was drowned in the endless lightning. Silence. No one heard it, not even Qinhao. The moment the light of destruction came crashing down, a terrifying fluctuation suddenly appeared between the brows of the stunned little nurse. Her eyes seemed to have changed into a different person in an instant. She became a supreme existence that looked down on the world and stood at the peak of the great Tao. Her cherry lips, which had kissed Qinhao many times, were still as excited as if it was her first kiss, coldly spat out 2 words: silence. With the macro world in Qinhao's mind as the core, a ray of light as black as ink spread out the moment the lightning of destruction came crashing down. In an instant, it enveloped Qinhao's entire body. After doing this, the little nurse directly fainted and fell into Qinhao's macro world in his mind. Rumble. The terrifying fluctuations swept across the entire 10-direction territory. What happened? At this moment, no matter which corner of the 10-direction territory they were in, whether it was Qin Shui, Hu Mainyang, Helian Wuzi, or other human clan cultivators hiding in a corner at the edge of the territory, they all looked up at the sky in horror. No one knew what had happened, but no matter how far away they were, the lightning that seemed to be able to destroy the world was imprinted in their eyes. The brief light of destruction only appeared for a moment and then disappeared. The 10-direction territory also returned to normal in an instant, as if nothing had happened. In the place where Qinhao pointed at the sky and cursed and where Qinhao collapsed, a ray of black light surrounded a 3-meter radius. Yes, only 3 meters, which was just enough to wrap around Qinhao and not much space was left. When the heavenly might dissipated, this ray of black light also quickly dissipated as if it had never appeared. When the black light dissipated, Qinhao's frozen consciousness was finally unobstructed. He got up with a dusty face and looked at the remaining aura of destruction around him in shock. Third update: seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1085. What happened? Qinhao felt refreshed, his thoughts were clear and his meridians were flowing smoothly. His whole body was filled with an unprecedented essence, energy and spirit, as if he had been reborn. However, apart from the terrifying aura of destruction in the world, he could no longer feel any heavenly Tao law. Unity of heaven and man and drawing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth seemed to have become an extravagant hope. It was as if he was independent of heaven and earth, incompatible with heaven and earth, incompatible with all Taos. Patter. Patter, patter. Drops of cold sweat dripped from Qinhao's forehead. Boom. After a long time, Qinhao suddenly struck out with his fist, causing boundless Tao laws to roil and whistle. The ground that was already covered in ravines and was covered in desolation collapsed with a bang, and a fist print transformed into a mark of the Tao that emanated dazzling and profound crystalline lights. Phew! Staring at his peak state punch, Qinhao's expression turned better. He took a long breath and said, "Motherfucker, my Tao, my own Tao. From now on it will be my heavenly Tao. Comprehend you? Bah." Phew, that was close. Strong in appearance but weak in reality? Damn it, I was scared to death. Thinking of the strange phenomenon of heaven and earth that appeared before, Qinhao felt a lingering fear. His brother Qin Nan aroused his deep self-blame and pain. He suppressed it strongly and recited the primary outline of Tao to calm his emotions. Then he fell into madness, blamed heaven and earth and cursed loudly. Unknowingly he entered a state of madness, pointed at the sky and shook the heavenly Tao. His heaven-defying action led to the arrival of the world-extinguishing thunder. But how could the world-extinguishing thunder dissipate without even touching me? After that, Qinhao commanded in his heart. He instantly traversed a distance of 5,000 kilometers. When Qin Hao appeared once more, the laws of the heaven Dao and spirit energy of the heavens and the earth had suddenly recovered their liveliness, and he was able to sense it with a command in his heart. A wisp of divine sense immediately fused into the great world in his mind that he had sealed. In an instant it arrived beside the young nurse, Lu Hui. When Qin Hao saw the young nurse lying motionless on the ground, her face deathly pale, her essence, qi, spirit, true essence, and even the heaven and earth spirit qi of this world extremely weak, Qin Hao's eyes trembled slightly. Then he waved his hand and sent out a beam of immortal light. Then a shadow appeared in front of him, tracing the origin and recording the past. In his mind he was the absolute ruler. Even if he didn't sense what had happened before, he could replay it with a wave of his hand. Extinction. Nirvana. Qin Hao saw the nurse's shock and horror. Then, as if he had suddenly become a different person, he crazily erupted, and a ray of pitch-black light bloomed from between his eyebrows, concealing heaven's secrets. Light of Nirvana. Qin Hao was unable to comprehend it, but combined with his own experience just now, he was able to deduce that it was the light of Nirvana emitted by the little nurse that blocked his aura, causing the terrifying world-extinguishing thunder punishment to dissipate into nothingness. Qi. Qin Hao, who was drenched in cold sweat again, suddenly pointed at the little nurse. Majestic and pure energy poured down and surrounded her. Ah! A moment later the little nurse screamed and woke up. The moment she opened her eyes were filled with boundless fear. However, when she saw Qin Hao, who was in the form of his divine sense, right in front of her, she immediately covered her small mouth. Qin Hao, you scared me to death. Do you know what you're doing? What am I doing? I know. I just saw that your aura seemed to have connected heaven and earth and transcended this place. I saw that the terrifying will of the heavenly Tao was about to annihilate you. You were fucking cursing the heavens. Luckily you're fine. The little nurse looked at Qin Hao with stars in her eyes and patted her plump chest as she spoke. Thank you. Seems like I've done something. Seems like it. But what's the use of thanking me? Let's do something practical. Okay. The little nurse suddenly screamed. When she reappeared, she was no longer in Qin Hao's mind but in the space of the 10-direction domain. In front of her, Qin Hao was looking at her with a smile. True body, true body. Qin Hao, I can't do this. I'm fine in there. A strand of my divine sense is still comforting you. When I come out, I'm separated. Ooh, smack. Qin Hao directly blocked the little nurse's words with his mouth and kissed her tender and beautiful lips fiercely. The little nurse was immediately dazed. Although it was not much different from her divine sense, this girl was as excited as her first kiss. In addition, this was his true body. Naturally, she was so excited that she was dazed and blissful. In the future, every time I scold you, help me block it once. Fuck it until it loses its temper. One day, I'll be able to trample it under my feet. I'll ravage it however I want. Bullshit heavenly Tao. Woo! Qin Hao was in a good mood as he transmitted his voice to the little nurse's mind. The dazed little nurse even forgot to transmit her voice and did not make a sound. Immediately, Qin Hao took the initiative to separate from her, but the little nurse was still unsatisfied. Hurry up and recover. Continue to save Xiaonan. So you can't hold it in anymore. Fuck. Qin Hao's face instantly darkened. He cursed and directly sent the little nurse, who was trembling with laughter, into his mind. Immediately he slapped between his legs. Fuck, can't you be more honest? Naturally, your reaction is a bit too intense. This was the difference between the divine sense and the true body. However, this was really not Qin Hao's fault. It would be strange if any man did not have a reaction after hugging and kissing a little beauty for a while. It could only be said that the little nurse, Lu Hui, was really too fierce. She dared to say anything, think anything, and even look at anything. With a flash of his body, Qin Hao once again used the great teleportation technique. In an instant he returned to his original place and sat down cross-legged. This short change made Qin Hao's mood much better. The past was the past. He just had to grasp the present and not let any regrets happen. At the same time, this change also strengthened Qin Hao's Tao heart. His own Tao, his own heart, no one could shake it, not even the heavenly Tao. 50 years passed in the blink of an eye from the time they started to revive Qin Nan. Qin Yan was the first to rush back to Qin Hao's side. After 50 years, her body was emitting a strong murderous aura. Needless to say, her hands were stained with the blood of foreign cultivators. Who knew how many lives she had taken? When the estimated 60 years, which was 60 years, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, Xia Yu, Ling Ning Huan, Ling Ningle, Bailey Ningbing, Lan Feng, and the others all arrived. Even Qin Shui, Hu Mainyang, and Pan Long, who did not know that they could revive Xiaonan when they left, also arrived. Obviously, they had met each other in the past few decades and received some information. The core members of Proud Heaven who were originally with Lan Feng did not return. They continued to lead human cultivators in a frenzy to hunt down foreign cultivators. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Chapter 1086. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Endless immortal light, endless Taoist principles, and endless mysteries floated in the great world in Qin Hao's mind. The blood qi in the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood, the bright vitality on the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, and the purest spiritual qi in the endless spirit spring sea continued to gather and combine under the young nurse's mysterious divine ability. Thump, 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 thump. Qin Hao, you're about to succeed. Quick, give me something substantial. Big sister, madam, stop fooling around. Once I succeed, I'll give you whatever you want and I'll let you do whatever you want with me, okay? Can't you see that everyone is waiting anxiously? If you succeed, you'll be too busy being happy to care about others. Forget it, I'll leave the rest to you. My soul will return to my body, my bloodline will take shape, and my physical body will be formed soon. All right. Take a rest, Du Jing and Lin Xiao, and leave the rest for now. What do you mean by, for now? The three of them are the people you're most familiar with. The origin of faith they've gathered is powerful, and the memories and auras in your bodies are also very powerful. That's why I'm barely able to do it. Do you want me to die from exhaustion? All right. Are you sure there's no problem? There's no problem. You just need to keep the energy flowing. I'm really going, smack. The nurse was so angry that she stomped her feet. Suddenly she rushed to the side of Qin Hao's divine sense, kissed him and pinched him hard. Then she quickly left. Qin Hao touched his face and revealed a slight smile. Then his mind was completely immersed in the dazzling immortal light and boundless blood energy. Half a year later. Big brother, big brother, big brother. Boom, boom. Qin Nan's mind went from murmuring in a daze to the moment his soul returned to his body and fused back with his fleshly body, to the moment when his true voice rang out. Qin Nan's eyes snapped open, and he threw his head back and howled. Xiaonan. Qin Hao called out softly as he looked at Qin Nan, who had awakened but had yet to fully return. At this moment his heart was filled with warmth, and he clenched his fists in excitement. He had succeeded. He had been revived. Brother. It's you. Brother, are you calling me? Qin Nan, who was howling madly, suddenly trembled and looked around. Brother. It's really you. I didn't die. Brother, you're here, you're finally here. Where's Xiao Yan? Qin Hao looked at Qin Nan, who was awake but still in a state of confusion and violent fluctuations. He suddenly pointed a finger, and a strand of immortal light merged with memories entered between Qin Nan's brows. Qin Nan was stunned. Then Qin Hao took out his Taoist robe and put it on Qin Nan. Then he took it out of his mind's macro world. Second brother. The moment Qin Nan appeared, Qin Yan cried happily and hugged the dazed Qin Nan tightly. Xiaonan. It's Xiaonan. He has been revived. Pan Long roared at the sky and his huge body released a terrifying power. He was extremely excited. Insik, you'll be back soon. We brothers will be reunited again. Brother Pan, let's have a fight. I'll let you beat him up. Boom. Unable to vent his excitement, Lan Feng suddenly charged at Pan Long violently. Bang, bang, bang. They started to fight. In an instant, Lan Feng was completely overwhelmed by Pan Long's huge body. Pan Long punched and kicked Lan Feng. They did not use any energy and Lan Feng's nose was bruised and his face was swollen. Blood splattered everywhere, but they were laughing happily. This is not enough. When the insect comes back, all of you can attack him together. The girls also smiled as they looked at Qin Nan, who was in a daze. After a while, Qin Nan's empty eyes gradually recovered. He saw Qin Yan, who was crying and laughing, hugging his sister excitedly, and many familiar faces. He saw Pan Long and Lan Feng, who were mutilating themselves, and his brother. His eyes did not move away. Hugging his sister tightly, Qin Yan felt the familiar aura. He really had it. Tears poured down his face as he stared at Qin Hao. Brother, is this real? I'm really alive. Am I not in a dream? It's real. Brother, I'll never see you again. I won't see my sister, I won't see my parents, I won't see my sister's-in-law, I won't see Brother Pan, I won't see Brother Lon. Brother, where's Brother Du? Soon, very soon, he'll appear in front of us alive and kicking. Xiaonan, I'm sorry. From now on, I'll never be separated from you again. Brother. Qin Yan jumped out of Qin Nan's arms. She laughed and cried. Xiaonan, second brother, I'll let you have my embrace this time. Pan Long and Lan Feng, who were fighting each other, were focused on Qin Nan. When they heard Qin Yan's words, they laughed out loud. Qin Nan smiled as well, but he didn't move. He said, Xiao Yan, I've never tried to snatch anything from you. My embrace is yours. I'm a real man. Brother, I'll be as strong as you. That's what I want to see the most. Qin Hao said with a smile. As he spoke, he touched Qin Nan's head. Although Qin Nan's height was the same as Qin Hao's, and their auras did not reveal the age gap, Qin Nan did not dodge. He was just like a child. Others could not touch his head, but it was not a problem for him at all. Brother, my body and soul were clearly destroyed. How did you save me? Qin Nan's emotions quickly stabilized, and he asked the biggest question in his heart. At this time, apart from Helian Wuzi, Qin Shui, Hu Mainyang, and the others also pricked up their ears. The general outline of the Great Tao. All things in the world, even if their body and soul are destroyed, the fragments of their life imprints can be gathered again. In this 10-direction territory, the secrets of the heavens are shielded. Most of your fragments are still in this space. Alright, let's not talk about this. Go into seclusion in my mind and cultivate for a while. I'll go save Du Jing and Lin Xia. Senior brother will wait for you. Let's go kill those damn foreign tribes first. Brother, after the seclusion, I'll go kill them with Brother Pan and Brother Lon. Qin Nan exuded a fierce, murderous aura, and his eyes shone brightly as he spoke. Qin Hao's light of memory had already told him what happened after he died. It comforted his soul and state of mind. All right. Qin Nan and the others turned into streaks of light and flashed away. Qin Shui, Hu Mainyang, and the others were no exception. After everyone left, Qin Hao's figure flashed, and he activated the great teleportation technique. In his mind, he had already awakened Qin Ling and Li Yang. Only the two of them knew the place where Du Jing died the best. At this time, the two of them already knew that Qin Hao had the ability to completely restore them, and they no longer thought about falling into the reincarnation cycle. Fifth update. Wuxian continues. Last 5 hours, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1087. 100 years passed in the blink of an eye. 100 years ago, Qin Nan, one of Ao Tian's core generals who had been killed by the Golden Dragon, appeared again. All the alien races who had been killed by him or received the news were terrified. It was understandable that Pan Long appeared, but how could a person whose body and soul had been destroyed appear again? 60 years ago, which was 40 years after Qin Nan's resurrection, Du Jing, who possessed terrifying poison skills, had single-handedly killed tens of thousands of foreign experts. In the end, the Golden Dragon and the other commanders had to intervene to kill him. Du Jing, the Poison Hand, had reappeared. His heaven-defying poison skills and heaven-defying combat strength were even more terrifying than before. He didn't even need to use his senses to hunt down enemies. Everywhere he went, poisonous insects would cover the sky. Anything that was hidden within his range would find it difficult to escape his poison hands. 40 years after he appeared, he was always accompanied by Lin Xia, who had died once. Now Ao Tian's core generals, Li Yang and Qin Ling, appeared again and killed all the alien races. Qin Hao, the god of slaughter, hadn't appeared since he killed millions of alien races. But everyone knew that it was because Qin Hao didn't want to fight, and he also wanted to give his brothers and sisters a chance to vent their anger. The endless escape and the death of their companions made the alien race cultivators taste the pain that the human clan had once faced. The defeated alien race's morale was soaring. The human clan, whose strength had skyrocketed, turned into an unstoppable slaughter. Some alien race cultivators had a mental breakdown and chose to die desperately. They endured the humiliation and fled everywhere. But not many could escape, and even more couldn't escape far. Death was approaching bit by bit. No one stopped. In the cruel cultivation world, no one would repay kindness with evil. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth could be found everywhere. Almost all of them took revenge 10 times or even 100 times more. Ruthless. Perhaps this was why the Great Path was ruthless. No one knew that the crazy hunting and the battle that was 100 times more tragic than the battle in the 10 Directions territory had already begun at this moment in the extraterritorial battlefield in the 10 Directions galaxy. Itota, the newly promoted Supreme Master of Hongmeng, volunteered to enter the extraterritorial battlefield not long after his return. Itota's name, a name that had once been hidden, resounded throughout the extraterritorial battlefield, causing chaos in the ancient Great Thousand World. No one knew the relationship between him and Qian Hao, the god of slaughter. However, in the short span of 100 years, this human cultivator, who was only at the early stage of supremacy in Hongmeng, had an impressive battle record that made foreign masters flee upon hearing his name. Itota Ito. A peerless genius of the human race who had appeared out of nowhere. What is the killing god? Itota Ito was the real god of death. The most monstrous genius of the human race in billions of years. It is said that he is the disciple of our vast universe galaxy's strongest controller, Yi Lan. If the god of slaughter Qian Hao doesn't die and reaches the Hongmeng realm, he might have the power to fight against him. That's right. I'm afraid only the god of slaughter, Qian Hao, can match him in terms of talent and battle prowess. Fuck. Do you want to die? Ito Taichi has announced that he will kill anyone who calls him god of slaughter again. No matter if he is an alien or a human, he will kill him. That's strange. Why doesn't he want such a powerful title? Other than the god of slaughter, there is no other word that can describe him. What do you know? The god of slaughter, Qian Hao, was the strongest controller of Yi Lan's disciple. However, he has become a legend. We call him god of slaughter now. How can such an arrogant genius like him be willing to do that? It's true. Such a genius would never want anyone to be associated with him like his shadow. God of slaughter. God of slaughter? That's right. I think this title is more suitable for Itota Ito. God of slaughter. God of slaughter. Save me. God of slaughter? You fucking ball. I can save you, but if anyone calls me God of slaughter again, I will kill them. Soon the human cultivators and Itota Ito's changed title, God of Slaughter, died again. God of Slaughter, God of Slaughter. They are on par with each other. The arrogant and violent Itota Ito is obviously not satisfied with this title. Then what should we call him? God of Slaughter? What the fuck? What does slaughter have to do with God of Slaughter? God of Slaughter. God of Slaughter. Human immortal, earth immortal, sky immortal, or true immortal. God of slaughter. Brother, it's not a problem to have an empty head. Don't go into the water. You can't even kill a god of slaughter. How can you call yourself a king? You are not domineering at all. If Itota Ito hears this, he will kill you. Cough. You can't call him god of slaughter, right? It's not bad. God of slaughter. Domineering, mighty, louder than the god of slaughter. Think so. Isn't it a bit too heaven-defying? The legendary god of slaughter. Let alone ancient chaos, even the great world of Xiandi doesn't have one. It's just a title. It's not like we have to kill an god of slaughter. I think this title is good enough. Itota Ito will definitely be satisfied. Who the fuck calls me god of slaughter? I will fuck your ancestors and kill you 18 times. Itota Ito's domineering voice made the human cultivators confused again. God of slaughter, what else can we call him? Damn it. What the human cultivators didn't know was that Itota Ito was even more depressed than them. He wanted to say, the god of slaughter is my boss, my master. You fucking put me on the same level as my boss and want to surpass my master? But he couldn't say that. When he stepped into the extraterritorial battlefield, everyone who knew his identity was blocked by Yi Lan. Although Itota Ito didn't say the possible situation in the 10 Direction territory and the reason why his master stepped into the 10 Direction territory directly, Yi Lan summoned Empress Dowager Itota alone, which seemed to have seen through everything. After a few questions, Itoda Ito couldn't resist and confessed. At that time, Itoda Ito knew that Yi Lan had discovered the abnormality in the extraterritorial battlefield because the 9 galaxies hadn't really united yet. Also, no human cultivator had advanced to Hongmeng in the 10-direction territory for more than 1,000 years, so they had discovered the abnormality. Therefore, Itoda Ito stepped into the extraterritorial battlefield and couldn't expose any information about him and Chen Hao. Everyone who knew Itoda Ito's true identity was blocked by Yi Lan. Will this world change because of you? Maybe. Yi Lan sat cross-legged in the depths of the sacred hall. Extremely profound celestial light constantly bloomed from the center of his brows. Blood essence was constantly spurting out from his hand, forming numerous profound runes that were arranged in a strange manner, divining the mysteries of heaven. But it was chaos. No one knew that the target of Yi Lan's divination was Chen Hao. It was just like how he had divined his own daughter all those years ago. It was completely chaotic and there were no signs at all. His daughter back then was Daluo Jingxian. The current Chen Hao was also the Daluo Jingxian. It was the same puzzle, the same chaos. 6th update. In the last 4 hours, Dark Mountain was still fighting. There were no miracles. They kept dropping, but Dark Mountain didn't give up. Brothers and sisters, monthly votes. Please, monthly votes. Chapter 1088. Elon muttered to himself. After the mysterious immortal light that he had used his life essence to deduce dissipated, faint wrinkles suddenly appeared on his youthful face due to the nirvana of his true self. He seemed to have aged a lot in an instant. At this moment, a crystal light flashed between his brows, and a heart-shaped pendant with a beautiful character engraved on it appeared in front of him. It was translucent like an amethyst, but it contained a vast amount of energy. Until the end of the world. I'm sorry. Yi Lan gently held the amethyst-shaped pendant in his hand as if he was holding up his favorite treasure. He gently caressed it. I thought I could do it after 1,000,000 years. I didn't expect it to be 10 million years in the blink of an eye. 10 million years. You don't know what he did to me. I could only place my hope on our daughter, but she disappeared. She has been gone for tens of millions of years. Now it has been billions of years. I'm sorry. I have no more hope. No more. I was in despair. I even gave up. But someone appeared, someone who has a lot to do with our daughter. His name is Chen Hao and he came from Earth, a world that I've never heard of before. It's a world that doesn't even have cultivators. Perhaps it's the Nirvana realm, or perhaps it's the spirit of all things. I know. He was born because of our daughter, but he can't be considered our grandson. He only fused with our daughter's bloodline in a special way called science. He grew up very quickly and he gathered a lot of karmic luck. He has a lot of luck in love and he has a top-grade true immortal or perhaps an immortal artifact that surpasses that. He has the 3,000 great Taoists that have disappeared from the world called Earth, and even I can't comprehend much of the profound scriptures. He's now in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, but he has the qualifications to step on the path to becoming an immortal emperor, and he'll definitely be one of the best. As back then I was not as good as him. Forgive me. He became my hope. I'm sorry, I can't rely on myself. I'm no longer who I used to be. I can't even reach the true immortal king realm. Hope? There's hope. If my hope comes true. Will you be disappointed with the current me? Regardless of whether you will be disappointed or not, as long as I have hope, I will see you once, even if it is the last time. Yi Lan confided to the amethyst-like pendant, suppressing the past in the depths of his heart, never mentioning it to anyone. I'll help him, I'll do my best to help him. This is my last hope. Don't worry, I'll make him learn to endure and not repeat my mistakes. Yi Lan's sparkling eyes became resolute. She immediately placed the pendant into the core of her mind. Xiaofeng. Fresh. Following Yi Lan's shout, space-time suddenly shook and a figure abruptly appeared before Yi Lan. Master. A crisp voice rang out like a silver bell, carrying a trace of surprise. Back then, when Master asked you to go to the limitless star, you were still brooding over it. However, Master never told you the reason. Yi Lan looked at the figure in front of her with doting eyes and said softly. I'm sorry. Disciple now finally knows that Master already knew that the limitless star would rise and become an existence not inferior to any other star. Now many Hongmeng Supremes are fighting to establish sects on the limitless star. The Providence Heaven and Earth Spirit Qi and Heaven Dao laws gathered there are already very massive. Seeing Yilan shake her head slightly, Xiaofeng lowered her head and grabbed her Taoist robe like a little girl. Xiaofeng, limitless star, patriarch limitless. Only personal disciples like Heavenly Venerate Yuanru knew her true gender. In the entire limitless star, patriarch limitless image was an old man with an immortal aura. That's not why Master asked you to go. It's time to tell you the truth. Your master's only daughter, Yi Xian, condensed from the longevity token's origin blood essence. Ah. Xiaofeng instantly widened her eyes in surprise. Don't be afraid, you. You only obtained a portion of little Xian's bloodline inheritance. Your soul is a spirit that has been nurtured for millions of years. It's also an immortal spirit body. The divine ability laws that Master passed down to you are not Master's. Ah. Xiaofeng was shocked again and said, Master, it's the Xiao family patriarchs. Unfortunately, Master fought with him countless times and only comprehended the surface. Your third anima is also the limit. Oh. Master, you want to unseal my true body and second anima and let me fuse? Oh. Your second anima has already advanced to the Hongmeng realm more than 1,000 years ago. You have 2 Hongmeng realms. Your third anima must also reach the Hongmeng realm. Moreover, it must be at the peak of the late-stage Hongmeng realm before Master allows you to fuse. Oh? Disciple understands. Master is doing this for disciple's sake. But Master will unseal a portion of it and let your third anima be completely connected with the true body's memories, aura, mind, and soul. Master, didn't you say that only by completely sealing disciple's third anima and letting disciple rely on disciple's own cultivation and comprehension would the best effect be? That's right. But now there's something more important. You must immediately enter the 10 directions domain. Xiaofeng revealed a look of fear, but before he could finish his sentence he obediently said, Master. Disciple has just stepped into the grand heavenly realm. Disciple will listen to Master. Jinhao is in the 10 directions domain. Yilan said directly. Ah. This time it was Xiaofeng's turn to widen his eyes in shock. In his mind, he suddenly thought of the heaven-defying existence that had been his disciple for a few days but hadn't cultivated much. Go in and inform him to come back as soon as possible. In the outsider battlefield we need him. Sacrifice your third anima to acquire the Great World Seal. Then use the fastest speed possible to form it into an embryonic form. Provoke heavenly punishment and bring Jinhao, Proud Heaven and everyone else back here. Remember, if they haven't refined the embryonic form of their major world to the peak of perfection, don't let them trigger heavenly punishment. Chaos is about to descend. Master, can only sacrifice the strength of your third anima. Master. Disciple understands. Disciple was born because of Master. What's the big deal about sacrificing this little bit? Besides, Master Jinhao is still my disciple. Xiaofeng said without hesitation, and a smile appeared on his face. Yilan frowned and thought to himself, great luck in love. What a sin. Master, you still haven't told me why you let me enter the boundless planet. Is it because of Jinhao? 7th update. It hurts. I've been killed again. In less than a day I've been killed 4 times. 26. I'll be killed again soon. Dark Mountain continue. 2 more hours. Try to write another chapter before midnight. If you still have votes, please vote for Dark Mountain. Thank you. Chapter 1089. You can say that. Back then I spent an endless amount of life essence to deduce Little Jade's vitality, but it was all chaos. Later I missed Little Jade and condensed you. Through you I deduced that there was a great opportunity related to your bloodline essence in the Wuji star. At that time I didn't know if it was Little Jade. After all, you obtained very little of Little Jade's bloodline inheritance. But since it was hope I naturally couldn't give up. Now I've proven my deduction. Although tens of millions of years have passed, I see. Master, is Jinhao related to Sister Yi Xian? I only know that he came from another world. At that time I didn't tell you because I was afraid. You don't have to explain. Even if I tell you I won't do anything to him. That I'll find out sooner. He's related to Little Jade. Alright, I'll send you to the 10 Directions territory now. Yes. Xiao Feng's little face revealed a touch of excitement. You little girl. Let me remind you that boy already has a lot of women and can't take care of them all. Who knows how many more he'll have in the future? Master. What are you talking about? Xiao Feng's pretty face suddenly turned slightly red. Alright. Go on, T. Yilan waved his hand and the space-time tunnel opened. Xiao Feng flashed and disappeared before Yilan's eyes. Yilan shook his head helplessly. How powerful was this boy's luck with women? Even Yilan couldn't figure it out. Yilan only knew that the brothers around him had it much harder. At the same time, Yilan also knew that those who walked with him, regardless of their character, would unswervingly stay by his side. It would not change for 10,000 years, 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years, or even longer. It was unlikely that it would change. Faith so devout that they would give up their lives and everything for faith. It was not something that could be achieved by the prayer technique he taught. The tea cools down when the person leaves. It was not the case for him at all. Was it as simple as having great luck with women? It was simply a raging tortoise. Not to mention Chen Hao's women and Chen Hao's brothers. Even Yilan himself was willing to help this boy as soon as he saw him. Although Yilan hasn't seen Chen Hao's current strength, he can guess a thing or two just by looking at Itota. He would not have any opponents in the 10 Directions territory. No matter who it was. According to the information revealed by Itota, Yilan had already concluded that the current 10 square territory must be flowing with blood. With Xiao Nan's death, it would be strange if God of Slaughter Chen Hao didn't kill Potian. Xiao Nan's death, and according to Itota, other members of Ao Tian might have met with mishap. Based on the current situation in the extraterritorial battlefield, Yilan speculated that the 10 Direction territory must be more unscrupulous. Perhaps the 9 galaxies had joined forces. Who was behind this? Yilan, who had lived for billions of years, knew who it was even if he used his butt to think. Back then, when that old bastard from the Shao clan quietly disappeared, he knew that it was not because he had given up. It was just that they didn't expect him to be so ruthless. Moreover, this road had been paved for countless years. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to unite the 9 galaxies so smoothly. Wanting to unify the ancient chaos is simply a dream. Even if the masters of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm are all dead, as long as I am here, as long as the temple is here, no one can shake the vast universe galaxy. If I were back then. Yilan shook his head and did not continue. Itota. At this moment, in the majestic palace of the tyrant's chaotic galaxy master, hundreds of incomparably powerful auras gathered together. The true immortal masters of the 8 galaxies, including the God Clan, the Insect Clan, the Dark Demon Clan, the Winged Clan, the Goblin Clan, the Elf Clan, the Sky Demon Clan, and the Ghost Clan, were also in the palace of the tyrant's master. At this time, several old men with the strongest auras were muttering Itota's name. When did such a monster appear in the vast universe galaxy? How can one person deter the 9 galaxies? Did any of you find out about him? It's said that he's a disciple that Yilan Xue hid. We don't know anything else. Brother Jing, it's not important whether we have specific information about him or not. What's important is how to solve this. Send out the true immortals? Or completely fall out and join forces directly? Someone looked at the tyrant's master and said, "We can't send out the true immortals." Before the overlord of the tyrant tribe could speak, the head of the Jin family, who was sitting beside him, suddenly spoke up. This was undoubtedly a matter that suppressed the tyrant's master's dignity, but the top powerhouses from the various galaxies didn't feel anything, as if this was a very natural thing. The tyrant's master also didn't care and looked at the head of the Jin family, as if waiting for him to continue speaking. Although there aren't many true immortals in the vast universe galaxy, their strength is much stronger than our true immortals. There's no way around it. Once we send out the true immortals, the real war will break out and blood will flow like rivers. It's destined that countless people, including the true immortals, will pay with their lives. Now what we need to do is to kill as many of their Hongmeng Supremes as possible. This is the foundation. Activate the foundation of the human race's divine temple. Itota is nothing. My disciple, the Golden Dragon, can easily kill him when he comes out. It shouldn't be long. Moreover, Yilan and Chen Wuliang must have seen through the clues, so there's no need to hide anymore. Let's shed all pretense of cordiality and join forces. As long as we don't send out the true immortals for the time being. The head of the Jin family, who was also the Shao family's patriarch, said in a deep voice. Yes, the head of the Jin family is right. There's no need to hide. Let's join forces. Makes sense. Let's do that. Good. I agree. In an instant, people from the various galaxies voiced their agreement and expressed their stance. This meeting of the 9 Galaxies Alliance was to report and exchange the results of the various galaxies, and the major galaxies specifically pointed out Atoda. This person's strength was really terrifying. He was only a beginner Hongmeng Supremes, but he could kill Supremes at the peak of the late Hongmeng Supremes and even great perfection Supremes like Child's Play. He was running around in the human army alone. He would show up wherever he was needed. He was like a firefighter. His actions had seriously affected the battle results of the other galaxies. Okay, since everyone agrees, let's send a message to our people. With the tyrants as the core, we'll give the order to surround and kill him. Okay, it's decided. Buzz. 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 With the end of the meeting, the palace of the tyrants suddenly bloomed with bright immortal light and terrifying space-time fluctuations. At the same time, the palaces of the tyrants in the distant 8 galaxies suddenly bloomed with bright light at the same time. Swoosh. Swoosh. Immediately, the experts of the various races disappeared on the spot and left quickly. 8th update. Seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1090. Whoosh. In the 10 direction territory, there was a sudden fluctuation in the space and then a figure appeared in the space there. The third time, the weakest time, she was dressed in a light green dress and her long black hair was tied up with a pink ribbon. Her eyebrows were slender like willow leaves, and the tips of her eyebrows were slightly raised like smoke. Her eyes were clear and bright and her skin was fair and rosy. She was like the little sister next door, elegant and pleasant, fresh and refined. If Qin Hao saw her now, he would only see her appearance and not feel her aura. Qin Hao would definitely frown and even tease her. This girl was none other than the girl Qin Hao met in Patriarch Limitless Palace when he was first summoned by Patriarch Limitless. Of course, Qin Hao didn't know that this girl was Patriarch Limitless, Xiao Feng. More than 10,000 years ago was the most difficult time for the Limitless planet. She had just entered the 3rd anima and was only in the heavenly immortal realm. Her first anima had been sealed by Yilan and had nothing to do with her. Her second anima had been in the 10 directions domain for nearly 10,000 years and hadn't come out. At that time, there were only 50 years left before the Yang planet was reshuffled. She had no choice but to enter the vast universe galaxy in her 3rd anima. It was the most terrifying place for any cultivator of any realm. It was also the periphery of the ancient chaos void domain. As long as she could break through to the Grand Luo realm in her 3rd anima, she would be able to protect the Wuji planet. That was absolutely insane. After all, when Chen Wuliang had sent that idiotic patriarch of the Shao clan to the Antiquity Chaos Desolation region, he'd been scared half to death, let alone a tiny heavenly immortal like her. However, she had no other choice. Fortunately, Yilan stopped her. Now 10,000 years later, her 3rd anima had reached the great circle of the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland. However, she had just broken through and it wasn't the best time to enter the 10 directions domain. Phew. What a pity that Master sealed all the cultivation insights of my true body and 2nd anima. Every time is brand new. Forget it, I'll find my freakish little disciple first. God of slaughter Qin Hao, humph, no matter how powerful he is, he was once my disciple. Xiao Feng thought of the first time he met Qin Hao and the time when Qin Hao treated him as Ancestor Wuji's maid. The 10 square territory is in chaos now. It's better to be careful. Hiss. Xiao Feng withdrew his aura and quickly headed toward the depths of the 10 direction territory. Although his master Yilan did not say much, chaos was coming. This sentence was enough to explain everything. At the same time, Xiao Feng was also curious about how Qin Hao, who had been destroyed more than 10,000 years ago, returned to the 10 square territory. Xiao Feng moved forward quickly but cautiously. However, what made her feel strange was that after flying for half a month, she actually didn't see a single cultivator, whether human or foreign. Although the 10 direction territory was vast and boundless, the cultivators who were immersed in it were the convergence of the 10 major galaxies. Moreover, most of the cultivators had stayed there for tens of thousands of years or even longer. The number was definitely huge. Why hadn't he met a single one after such a long time? T, 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 t. Just as Xiao Feng was getting more and more flustered, the void suddenly seemed to be torn apart. Huge warships appeared in front of Xiao Feng's eyes. Xiao Feng widened her eyes in surprise, and the energy around her body was instantly raised to the limit. She didn't sense anything within 1,000 miles. They just appeared out of thin air. Miss, don't be nervous. At this moment, the cabin door of a warship opened, and a human cultivator with a powerful aura appeared in Xiao Feng's sight. You just stepped into the 10-direction territory a few days ago, right? We're the 11th squad of the 3rd Legion of the Proud Heavens Association. Welcome to the Proud Heavens. Don't be surprised. Now that the human race has dominated the 10-direction territory, we're cleaning up the remaining cultivators of the foreign tribes. You're alone, so you're not in danger. We welcome you to join us, but we won't force you to. The cultivator, who was obviously the squad leader, stared at the little beauty of the human race. His eyes were bright and his tone was gentle, but the confidence and pride between his eyebrows were undisguised. Of course, this was not his pride, but his pride as a member of the Proud Heavens and a squad leader. Flying machines. His squad of 1,000 people had 20 flying machines. Moreover, they were flying machines that were completely different from the ones condensed by the law of divine ability. They flew at an astonishing speed and had powerful detection abilities, but they would not trigger any energy fluctuations of heaven and earth. Cultivators who used energy and the law of divine ability as the basis of their senses would not care at all even if they sensed movements such as air currents breaking through the air within 1,000 miles. They would only notice when they were within 1,000 miles and within the range of the naked eye. These were all provided by the god of massacre Chen Hao. They played a great role in the battle to clean up the foreign tribe cultivators. However, these flying machines were not condensed by Chen Hao. They were the top warships temporarily borrowed from the Sky River Sector Alliance's military from the Mind World. I'm in. After a brief moment of surprise, Xiao Feng suddenly showed a touch of excitement and said, Good. Congratulations on becoming a temporary member of the Proud Heavens. Chapter 1091. Yes, thank you. However, you have to tell him that the first time Chen Hao met my master, the limitless ancestor, was in my master's palace. Otherwise, he might not remember me. It was my master who told me to look for him. Xiao Feng said. Alright, that's not a problem. Come to our battleship and wait. We'll have news soon. Yes. What? President's junior sister? Alright, I'll report this first. Wait for me. In the battleship, the squad leader immediately contacted the senior captain. After the senior captain received the news, he immediately reported it to the leader of the 3rd Legion. The master of the Wuxia Starfield, the disciple of the Wuxia Starfield and the president's junior sister. Although it had not been confirmed, no one dared to impersonate her. After all, Xiao Feng had made it clear that she wanted to meet Chen Hao. Only a fool would impersonate her. Therefore, the members of Audiobook did not dare to delay. The leader of the 3rd Legion was the son of Destiny, Lan Feng. Boss's junior sister? Who? What's her name? Let me see. Why don't I remember Boss having a junior sister from the Wuxia Star? When Lan Feng received the call in the aircraft, he was a little curious and doubtful, so he asked directly. As Chen Hao's brother, Lan Feng knew everything about Chen Hao after more than 10,000 years. Not to mention Chen Hao's senior brothers and junior sisters. Lan Feng even knew about Chen Hao's friends who had started cultivating when he was young. This was because he had followed Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, and the other sisters-in-law back to the Wuxia Star. Anyone who was related to Chen Hao and the other women had received help from them. It was like returning home in glory. Of course, they had gone there to recruit the most loyal followers of Audiobook and gather the power of faith for Chen Hao. Leader, she didn't say her name. She only said she was the disciple of the Wuxia Starfield and the president's junior sister. She didn't seem to want to reveal her identity, so we didn't ask too much. Leader, why don't you pick her up and ask? Alright, pick her up. Miss, come here. Our commander wants to see you. Legion commander? Yes, the leader of our 3rd Legion, Legion Commander Lan Feng. Is he here? You'll know when you get here, the captain said. At this moment, Lan Feng's battleship was already connected to his battleship. All right. Tisk tsk. Little beauty. Don't tell me boss secretly took care of her? Lan Feng's eyes lit up when he saw the squad leader bring in a fresh and lovely girl through the huge display screen. However, his expression did not change in the slightest. I know Chen Hao condensed it. Are Lan Feng? You know quite a lot. Are you my boss's junior sister? Lan Feng asked. Not bad. Why haven't I heard that boss has a junior sister? I know all the disciples of the limitless ancestor. What's your name? Lan Feng asked. Can I speak to you alone? Xiao Feng said with a slight frown. Sure. Lan Feng said. I'll take my leave. The squad leader said directly. After that, he retreated outside and closed the door of the communication room. Lan Feng, Controller Yilan asked me to come to the 10-direction territory to find Chen Hao. Ancient chaos is in chaos. We need him and the core members of Proud Heaven. What do you mean? Ancient chaos is in chaos? Lan Feng was shocked. He did not expect Xiao Feng to throw out such a shocking and random message. I don't know the details. Controller Yilan only said that the extraterritorial battlefield needs him and Proud Heaven. Who exactly are you? Controller of the Limitless Star Xiao Feng. I have another identity, Controller Yilan's disciple. Your boss Chen Hao is my disciple. Why is it so difficult to see him? Cough cough. Limitless Ancestor Xiao Feng. It's you? The girl? Your Controller Yilan's disciple? How is this possible? Chen Hao can prove it when he sees me. Hurry up and order them to take me there. It's urgent. My master said to take you away from the 10-direction territory as soon as possible. You can leave the 10-direction territory. I can easily comprehend the Hongmeng energy. My master asked me to sacrifice myself and condense the prototype of the Great World to trigger the divine punishment and take you away. He asked you not to trigger the divine punishment before the prototype of the Great World is fully refined. I have too many questions. Forget it, I'll contact my boss directly. Wait a moment. Lan Feng sent a message to Small Wisdom Number 1. Small Wisdom Number 1 was now in charge of all the battleships. Master, Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged in the palace and had begun to refine and integrate the Great World Mark, suddenly received Xiaoxi's message in his mind. Lan Feng just sent a message saying that Controller Yilan sent the Limitless Ancestor to the 10-direction territory to look for you. Swoosh. Not long after, Xiao Feng, who was waiting, suddenly saw the screen flash and a figure appear. It's you. The moment Chen Hao appeared, he revealed a surprised expression when he saw Xiao Feng. You still recognize me? Xiao Feng giggled and said. Where's my master? Chen Hao asked with a frown. When he heard that Controller Yilan had sent the Limitless Ancestor, he immediately stepped into Small Wisdom Number 1. He was still puzzled. He still had doubts in his heart. How did Controller Yilan have a connection with old ancestor Wuji? From the memories of the girls, the Limitless Ancestor had advanced to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm more than 10,000 years ago. The Limitless Star was many times more powerful than before and had surpassed the Yang Star and the other 36 main stars. I'm right in front of you talking to you. Idiot. Good disciple, aren't you going to bow to your master? Are you looking down on your master now that you're powerful? Don't tell me you're the Limitless Ancestor. Chen Hao clearly remembered that this little girl was the one who made things difficult for him when the Limitless Ancestor first summoned him. Sorry, I'm the Limitless Ancestor. Bow, good disciple. Xiao Feng was extremely proud. The god of slaughter Chen Hao still had to bow to her. Sorry little girl, I've never seen my master's real face. Who knows if you're an imposter? Besides, the Limitless Ancestor is a man. Moreover, he had advanced to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm more than 10,000 years ago. That's just a rumor, okay? More than 10,000 years ago I advanced to the Hongmeng realm. But that was my second life and this is my third life. When I met you I was in my third life. Don't be surprised, I'm Controller Yilan's only disciple. This is what my master comprehended from the Xiao family ancestor and taught to me. Back then, my master arranged for me to go to the Limitless Star because he predicted that the Limitless Star might be related to Sister Yilan. The truth is, I met you. Why aren't you bowing to your master? Chen Hao's eyes flickered and he frowned slightly. He was obviously shocked by Xiao Feng's words. However, to make Chen Hao bow to a little girl, especially when a disciple greets their master, gave Chen Hao a headache. Most importantly, this little girl was obviously teasing him on purpose. Second update, begging for votes. Chapter 1092. Chen Hao could accept it calmly if Xiaofeng acted like a master, but what was the point of worshipping her like this? Words are no guarantee. Before meeting Senior Yilan, I'm sorry, but I don't know you as my master. Tell me, why are you looking for me? Chen Hao said with a frown. Boring. Xiaofeng pursed her lips. This was a serious matter, so she didn't continue to fool around. She directly repeated Yilan's words to Chen Hao. Chen Hao's frown deepened. Xiaofeng didn't dare to interrupt his contemplative look, even though it was just a projection. Came so quickly. What does Senior Yi mean? Chen Hao was puzzled. Did he want Xiaofeng to sacrifice her potential and bring him and the core warriors of Proud Heaven to put out the fire? However, they were now in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Even though Chen Hao didn't know much about the extraterritorial battlefield, he knew that it must be a place where only the masters of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm could enter. He wasn't afraid, but the core members of Proud Heaven weren't so sure. It was too dangerous for a Grand Luo to go against a Hongmeng supremacy. I wanted to stay in the 10 Directions territory for tens of thousands of years. It seems that I'm forced again. Chen Hao shook his head and looked at Xiaofeng on the screen. How long do you need to trigger the divine punishment? Master has already connected me with my original body. It's easy to comprehend the Hongmeng Qi. If I can get the Great World imprint quickly, I can complete the refinement of the embryonic form of the Great World in about 500 years. If there's a sufficient supply of spiritual energy, maybe 300 years. That's none of your business. Come over to me. Lan Feng, come over too. Chen Hao said as he looked at Lan Feng, who had also accepted the call. Then he cut off the connection. At the same time, Chen Hao sent a message to the girls and Coiling Dragon through Xiaoji. Leisure. I don't think it's possible for me to cultivate peacefully. Sitting cross-legged in the palace where the laws of divine abilities were condensed, Chen Hao said a little gloomily. Chen Hao had long known that the alliance of the 9 galaxies in the 10 Direction territory was not as simple as it seemed, but he did not expect it to come so quickly. Since Yilan had asked Xiaofeng to call him, the situation must have reached a critical moment. Moreover, Yilan must have known about his current strength through Ito Ta. Let's go out and take a look at the situation first. You can do it. Chen Hao's mind flickered. In the great world of his mind, the commander of the Dark Demon clan, who had long since broken down, appeared in front of Chen Hao, waving his arms wildly and howling. Fortunately, I didn't have the time to kill you, Qi. Chen Hao pointed his finger at the Dark Demon clan's leader. Instantly, an endless amount of immortal light trapped him. Then Chen Hao sat cross-legged. His primordial spirit left his body and domineeringly attacked the Dark Demon clan's leader's soul palace. The Dark Demon clan's leader, who had long since broken down and fallen into a frenzy of fear, was completely under Chen Hao's control. I've already fused with it, but I haven't started refining it yet. However, it will only take a few years. Chen Hao thought to himself as he sensed the aura of the Great World brand in the Dark Demon clan's leader's soul palace. Then his powerful soul power controlled the Dark Demon clan's leader's soul power and began refining the embryonic form of the Great World. At the same time, an endless amount of spirit spring water surrounded him. In about a year, Qin Shui, Hu Mainyang, Helian Wuzi, Pan Long, Du Jing, Qin Nan, Li Yong, and other core members of the Ao Tian sect all arrived outside Chen Hao's palace. Only Lan Feng had not arrived yet. At this moment, the palace was enveloped by a mysterious aura. Endless Dao laws surrounded the palace, preventing the people who had arrived from disturbing it. Instead, they waited outside. A few days later, a battleship quickly arrived above the palace. Lan Feng and Xiaofeng stepped out of the battleship together, chatting and laughing. They seemed to get along well. Lan Feng, you've gotten together so sneakily? Amazing. Not bad at all. Beautiful girl. Okay, my name is Du Jing. May I know how to address you? You're Du Jing? I'm Xiaofeng. I'm with... When Lan Feng awkwardly winked at Du Jing, Xiaofeng frowned and looked at Du Jing. However, he was interrupted by Du Jing again before he could finish his sentence. Feng. You have the same name. Not bad, not bad. You're a good match. You're almost comparable to me and little Xiaxia. Du Jing hugged Lin Xia's waist, not thinking how shameless he was. Ever since he had sacrificed himself to become a demon and Lin Xia had died with him once, Du Jing and Lin Xia were inseparable. They were so close that they were like one person. The only thing missing was making love. Moreover, they kissed in front of everyone without any scruples. The others were fine. At first Pan Long despised and beat them up every time he saw them. However, after a few times he got used to it. Brother Lon, do you know why my brother called us here? You don't know? I don't know. The sisters-in-law don't know what's going on. They just asked us to hurry over. Qin Nan was the most normal one. Xiaofeng, you tell them. Lan Feng looked at Xiaofeng and said. Xiaofeng originally wanted to say something, but when he heard Lan Feng's words he only glared fiercely at Du Jing. Du Jing looked at the two with an ambiguous smile and suddenly said, I know. So it's because our son of destiny found us a sister-in-law. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? Damn it. Worm, you died once but you're still smarter than me. Pan Long patted his huge head and said. Xiaofeng wanted to vomit blood. What kind of people were these? These were the core generals of Ao Tian who shook the primitive secret realm and the ancient chaos great thousand world. Their auras were indeed terrifying, but their intelligence. Hello, sister-in-law. I'm Chen Shui. Nice to meet you. Oh, sister. I'm Hu Mainyang. Hu Mainyang smiled sweetly and followed Chen Shui. Helian Wuzi, Lan Feng is indeed the son of destiny to be able to find such a beautiful and young Dao companion like you. Your aura is very special. Shem, the aura of your physical body. Helian Wuzi said with bright eyes. Sister-in-law, I'm Long Ting. You have the aura of the undying bloodline. Huh. Xiaofeng was tongue-tied and his face turned green. Faced with the probing of so many powerful auras, one after another, they took the initiative to greet her. She wanted to say something but she didn't have the chance to. Hello, sister-in-law. I'm Tan Tai Lian. Sister-in-law, I'm Xia Yuyu. Sister-in-law, we're Huan Huan Lei Lei. Bailey Ning Bing. Bailey Ning Bing's face turned slightly red. She still had a knot in her heart. She was embarrassed to call Xiaofeng sister-in-law in front of everyone. Brother. Hey little Yen, are you blushing? When Qin Yen called her sister-in-law, Du Jing interrupted. Qin Yen was already embarrassed but still gathered her courage and moved closer to the army of sisters-in-law. Anyway, her brother wasn't here. She was interrupted by Du Jing and her face turned red. She was so angry that she hit her feet and said, Stupid worm. Sister Xia, are you going to do something about it? Third update, looking for monthly votes. After an all-nighter, I'm very tired today and my efficiency is very low. Dark Mountain will try to finish the fifth update before 12. Looking for guaranteed monthly votes. Thank you. Chapter 1093. Io. Sister-in-law Yen, how can you call me sister? Lin Xia said exaggeratedly. The word, sister-in-law, was loud and clear. Qin Yen was tongue-tied and stunned. Ha ha. Everyone burst into laughter. Lan Feng's head was hanging so low that it almost reached his crotch, but he was still holding it in. If he didn't want to explain, then he wouldn't explain. Why did he have to explain? This girl was not bad. He seemed to like her a lot. She was fresh and cute like the little sister next door. Also, she was the disciple of Yilan. How could she be bad? Moreover, he had learned along the way that Xiaofeng was in the third life, which was a divine ability that Yilan had comprehended from the Xiao family's ancestor. His original body and second life were already Hongming's supreme beings. If he could deal with her, it would be a huge gain. Of course, the most important thing was that Lan Feng had repeatedly asked around and confirmed that Xiaofeng had nothing to do with his boss. Therefore, Lan Feng was unwilling to pass on his responsibility to his sisters-in-law. He sacrificed himself and stood in front of his boss for all the girls. Sister-in-law, don't be shy. We're all very casual people. You have to be thick-skinned in front of us. Otherwise, you'll only be bullied. Lan Feng has good taste, but so do you, sister-in-law. Our Lan Feng is just a little bit inferior to me and boss. His appearance, talent, and strength are all top-notch. Nonsense. Worm, Lan Feng is much more handsome than you. He's just a bit inferior to my boss and me. Pan Long slapped Du Jing away and said. This time even Xiaofeng burst into laughter. What kind of people were they? Are you done talking? Xiao Feng finally seized the opportunity and asked, "Aha, sister-in-law, why don't you introduce him to us?" "I'll do it." At this time Lan Feng finally opened his mouth and said, "Xiao Feng, I have another identity. The ruler of Wuji Starfield, Ancestor Wuji." Lan Feng's words shocked Qin Shui, Helian Wuzi, and the rest of the people from Wuji Starfield. Ancestor Wuji. To them this was like the heavens in the past. Moreover, wasn't Ancestor Wuji a man? "I have another identity. And I'm Yi Lan's disciple. This is Xiao Feng's third anima. His original body and second anima are already Hongming's supreme." Whoosh. The crowd was once again in an uproar. Xiao Feng came to look for boss and us under Yi Lan's orders. The ancient chaos is about to descend into chaos. The extraterritorial battlefield needs us. What? Lan Feng's 3 sentences were like 3 heavy bombs, causing everyone to reveal shocked and dignified expressions. "That's why boss called us here. Look at this aura. Boss should be refining his great world imprint with all his might." At this moment Xiao Feng glared at Lan Feng and couldn't help but say, "It's about to take shape." She originally thought that Lan Feng would explain their relationship, but she didn't expect that this guy didn't even mention it. However, at this time she couldn't care less. She continued, "Hi Master. Controller Yi Lan said that you can't trigger heaven's punishment before you condense it to a perfect state. We have to stop him quickly." "It's fine. This aura doesn't belong to Big Brother. It's from the Sky Fiend race's commander." Li Yang, who had been smiling without speaking, said with a smile as he gently hugged Qinling, "Looks like we'll have to leave the 10 Directions territory." Qinling said, "The extraterritorial battlefield needs us." The extraterritorial battlefield is basically a place where the experts of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm from the 10 major galaxies fight. However, our current strength is enough to enter the battlefield. Hu Mainyang said confidently after frowning slightly, her eyes shining brightly. Rebirth after rebirth, metamorphosing from a cocoon. Qin Nan and Du Jing had been reborn from the ashes. The imperfect impurities in their souls had been removed by the little nurse, Lu Hui. There was no need to mention their physical bodies. It was the same for Lin Xia, who had been the weakest. Her strength had also increased greatly, challenging those of a higher level. "I like it. But I was just worrying about not having anyone to train with. Training in the extraterritorial battlefield will undoubtedly make us stronger. When the time comes to refine the great world imprint, it'll be even more perfect. That's simply wonderful. I'm looking forward to it." Xiao Feng's eyes widened when he saw how excited Ao Tian and the other famous geniuses were. Even if the reserved girls did not say anything, the faint ripples in their auras proved that they were no different from Coiling Dragon, Du Jing and the others. It was also at this moment that the palace shook abruptly, and an even more dazzling and majestic immortal light shot out. "Everyone's here?" At the same time, Qin Hao's voice drifted into everyone's ears. "Boss. Brother." A figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone. They frowned slightly when they saw him, but they knew that it was Qin Hao. "Brother. Don't go alone this time." "Don't worry, I'll keep my word. We'll leave together and we'll return together. Since all of you want to train, let's go together." "Qin Hao." "Yes, sister-in-law. What is it?" "Oh, Senior Yi asked you to sacrifice yourself, but there's no need for that. The disciples of the Sky Demon tribe are enough. There's no problem triggering heavenly punishment now, but all of you should make arrangements for the human legions. We'll kill for a few hundred years, and if we can't find any, just guard the core areas. There'll be a legion patrolling the area and kill anyone who enters. Once you're done, we'll depart," Qin Hao said with a smile. "You." Xiao Feng clenched her teeth in anger. So Qin Hao had heard everything she said just now. It was one thing for others to misunderstand her identity, but Qin Hao already knew that she was forefather limitless, even if he did not admit it. Qin Hao didn't avoid Xiao Feng and instead indifferently said, "Fate came and went, and we didn't go through the ceremony of apprenticeship. Now that you've become my sister-in-law, let's write off everything from before." "How could I?" Before Xiao Feng could say anything else, Qin Hao turned to the others and said, "Wives, brothers, hurry up and make arrangements." "All right." Everyone went to the warship and Qin Hao followed behind Qin Shui, but Qin Shui kicked him and shouted, "Don't come near me, it's not you now." Xiaofeng stomped her feet in anger. She finally understood that this group of people were all scoundrels. Sister Xiaofeng, are you going to board my warship or wait here? Won't it be boring to wait? Come with me. Lan Feng said as he grabbed Xiaofeng's hand. It seemed unintentional, but the aura around him was very strong and Xiaofeng, who was obviously much weaker than him, could not resist. She turned into a ray of light and flew toward Lan Feng's warship. Lan Feng, why are you such a bastard? Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy, thank you. Chapter 1094. Sister Xiaofeng, what's wrong with me? I had a good impression of you. Let go of me. Oh, I forgot. I'll arrange it first. You can do whatever you want. Although Lan Feng said that, he still didn't let go of her hand. Let go. Yes. At this time, Lan Feng slowly and reluctantly let go of Xiaofeng's hand as if it was in slow motion. Shameless. Xiaofeng's face turned slightly red as she saw Lan Feng turning his head 3 times with every step he took. Every time he turned back he would smile and nod. Lan Feng scratched his head. He didn't seem to care at all as he walked into the communications room. I'm the Infinity Ancestor, but I was... Xiaofeng felt suffocated and her chest puffed up with anger. However, she didn't continue roaring in her heart. Too strong. They're all too strong. Xiaofeng couldn't help but sigh. Although she was definitely an old person to these people, she didn't have the qualifications to be one now. Especially when she was in the 3rd anima, she was only a newcomer in front of them. When she saw Lan Feng, the enlightened master, she was shocked. Although they were in the same realm, Lan Feng gave her the feeling of looking up to a tall mountain. His aura was so powerful that it was a mess. This was much more than what she knew about Ao Tian's core generals. It could be said that after stepping into the 10-direction territory, everything she saw and heard was shocking. Especially after Lan Feng showed Xiaofeng his light of memory, she was even more shocked. Powerful, it was really powerful. Ao Tian led the human cultivators and killed almost all of the 9 Galaxies Alliance. Now, the 10-direction territory could be said to be the world of the human race in Ao Tian's world. In the light of memory that Lan Feng gave her, she saw all of Lan Feng's amazing performances. This made her look at Lan Feng from the side. After meeting him, Lan Feng, the enlightened master, showed a terrifying aura and a handsome appearance. This made her and Lan Feng talk very happily. She didn't know that the light of memory that Lan Feng condensed deliberately strengthened his image and diluted the image of everyone, including Chen Hao. It even made them ugly. He could do anything for his brother, and he could stab his brother in the back for a woman. Of course, Lan Feng wasn't that ruthless. However, for the sake of a woman, there was absolutely no problem in elevating oneself and discrediting one's brothers. Lan Feng, who had been stimulated by Du Jing and Lin Xiao, had long been considering the issue of a Dao companion. However, he had been suffering from the lack of a suitable partner. When he saw Xiaofeng on the display screen, his eyes lit up. He even suspected that Xiaofeng had an affair with his boss. After seeing him, Xiaofeng's heart was moved. Especially when he sensed the other party's aura and found out about Xiaofeng's situation and that he was basically unrelated to boss. How could he hold himself back? Finally, a woman who could move his heart had appeared after a long time of yearning. If you don't recognize me as your master, I won't recognize you as my disciple either. What's so great about that? Sure enough, it's just as Master and Lan Feng said. So many. Xiaofeng thought to himself. His right hand brushed against his left hand that Lan Feng had been holding. A strange feeling rippled through his heart. The limitless forefather had 3 lives. To her, this identity was just a mission, a fake identity. Although she had grown up on the limitless planet with 3 lives, her true heart had always remained at a higher level. After all, her master was Yilan, the strongest controller in the vast universe star system. Therefore, apart from direct disciples like Yuan Ru, or more accurately, direct disciples, it was very difficult for them to see her true face. She, who had a broader sky in her heart, would not lower herself and have feelings for someone who was destined to be on a different level. However, the core generals of Proud Heaven were different. Boss, brothers, sisters-in-law, thank you so much. You must help me. My heart skipped a beat the moment I saw her. In the communication room, the first thing Lan Feng did after entering was not to arrange for the army, but to contact Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, Chen Shui, and the others. Don't disgust me. Coiling Dragon waved his fist. Ditto. Du Jing also said. I'm serious. Boss brothers, dear brothers, you have to give me a chance to perform. Also, if she has any prejudice against you for the time being, don't take it to heart. In order to highlight my glorious image, I can only betray you. So that's how it is. I was wondering how she could resist. Although I also exerted some pressure, it was not to the extent that she could not resist. Damn it, Lanfeng, you're really evil. Du Jing said. You're not a good person either. Lin Xia suddenly looked at Du Jing and said. Originally, Lin Xia wanted to spar with Coiling Dragon, but Du Jing recommended himself and replaced Coiling Dragon. Since then, Lin Xia only went to find Du Jing. As for what exactly happened, only Du Jing and Lin Xia knew. Now it seemed that there was something fishy. Du Jing immediately shut up. Old ancestor Wuji. Back then he was the sky of all the cultivators on Wuji planet, and how was his disciple? I didn't expect him to be a woman and the disciple of Senior Yi Lan. It's really unbelievable. Xia Yu said. Yes. The world is strange. Cough cough, that's her fake identity. Don't worry, when I'm done I won't make you call me senior. Lan Feng said with a smug smile. Alright, hurry up and make the arrangements. Don't tell them that we're out, just say that we're in seclusion and no one is to disturb us. Once you're done we'll set off. Yes. 4 hours later, everyone had made the necessary arrangements. Qin Hao completely controlled the Dark Demon Clan commander, who had become a puppet and triggered Heaven's punishment. Everyone and Qin Hao's physical body entered the puppet's mind world the moment Heaven's punishment appeared and the embryonic form of the mind world, Hongmeng, opened. Such a strong mind world. The moment they entered, Qin Shui and the others didn't feel anything, but Xiao Feng was shocked. Was this really condensed casually? Or was it condensed by controlling the soul of this Dark Demon Clan commander? Xiao Feng had already connected with his original body because his master wanted him to bring Qin Hao and the others out. Therefore, the original comprehension and memories of his original body's cultivation appeared. The frame of this Dark Demon Clan commander's mind world was even stronger than his original body's and second anima's. That's right. This Dark Demon Clan commander is the Dark Demon Clan's commander in the 10 Directions territory. He must be a super monstrous genius. The frame of his refinement must be stronger. Xiao Feng thought. She didn't think that Qin Hao had helped her condense it in a short 1 year. But the truth was that Qin Hao had done it in a year. Originally, the Dark Demon Clan commander didn't even have time to refine his frame. 5th update, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1095. 1 year. In just 1 year, the framework of the prototype of the Great World had become so powerful. What kind of concept was that? Unfortunately, Qin Shui and the others had not even obtained the Great World mark, so they had no concept of the prototype of the Great World. Moreover, they were used to seeing Qin Hao's Great World in his mind, so they did not feel anything about the framework of the Great World ruled by the Dark Demon Clan. As for Qin Hao himself, he did not feel anything either. When he helped Ito Taichi to refine the Great World, it was many times more powerful than the Dark Demon Clan commanders. I used the Dark Demon Clan commander to trigger Heaven's punishment. If we go out, I'm afraid we will reach the Dark Demon Clan's dark galaxy. Qin Hao's primordial spirit had returned to his mind, but he could still easily control the collapsed Dark Demon Clan commander. Yes. When we entered from the entrance of the vast universe galaxy. The 10 galaxies all have their own entrances. When we go out, we will go to the exit of the galaxy where our imprints are. Hu Mainyang said. Good. Then you all come into my great world in my mind. Okay. Your great world in your mind. Everyone replied. However, Xiao Feng was surprised. Sister Feng, our boss already has a great world in his mind. Don't be surprised. Let's go, I'll bring you into play. Lan Feng said hurriedly. As he spoke, he did not allow Xiao Feng to refute. He shamelessly grabbed Xiao Feng's little hand and plunged it into Qin Hao's glabella. The moment it went in, he winked at Qin Hao. The others were well aware of it, but their expressions did not change. They also plunged into Qin Hao's glabella. Well, don't say I didn't take care of you. The moment everyone went in, Qin Hao's lips curled into an evil smile. Of course, this was directed at Lan Feng and Xiao Feng. In an instant, in the great world in his mind, Xiao Feng and Lan Feng's terrified screams came out from the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood. Endless fear and pressure pounced on the two like ferocious ghosts. At the same time, endless mysterious Dao laws condensed in Qin Hao's mind and surrounded the two. The rest was up to them. Under fear was undoubtedly the best opportunity to develop a relationship. Crack. Rumble. Just as the terrifying heavenly punishment was about to end, the Milky Way tunnel that connected the 9 heavens 10 earths finally appeared. Qin Hao took control of the Dark Devil Clan's commander and stepped inside. Space trembled, and the Dark Demon Clan commander appeared in the Star River tunnel filled with endless mysteries and ancient auras. 2 directions, 2 passageways. It was a light gate that had no end in sight, and one could see the end of it with the naked eye. It was shining brightly like a space-time gate. Qin Hao took a deep breath and completely concealed his aura. His figure flashed and stepped into the light door. Time and space twisted and Qin Hao suddenly appeared in the real great wide world. Just like Itota back then, he sensed the fresh air and the vitality of all things. Although the world was weak, the laws of the heavenly Tao were more complete and stable. This made Qin Hao feel relaxed and happy. Ancient chaos, I Qin Hao have returned. Roar. Qin Hao said excitedly in his heart and then let out a long roar. Of course, he was completely controlling the Dark Demon Clan commander and did not release his aura at all. Moreover, the Dark Demon Clan puppet that had stepped into the Hongmeng realm was definitely 10 times stronger than before. Qin Hao knew that if the Dark Demon Clan commander was completely controlled by his soul, it would definitely be 10 times or even 100 times stronger. In an instant, streaks of flowing light appeared and surrounded Qin Hao. Gao Kun, Brother Gao, congratulations on ascending to Hongmeng. Congratulations, congratulations. Brother Gao Kun is indeed the strongest person in Zenith Heaven. In just a little over 1,000 years, you have ascended to the Supreme of Hongmeng. This is really unprecedented. Brother Gao Kun's aura is so powerful. It's only been a little over 1,000 years. Amazing, really amazing. What a pity, Brother Gao Kun. If you had cultivated for a few more 1,000 years, you would definitely be stronger. Why are you in such a hurry to come out? The old men from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm who had gathered around praised him enthusiastically after a brief moment of shock. Gao Kun had only just stepped into the Supreme of Hongmeng, but his aura was so strong that it completely surpassed all the old men present. These old men were the guardians sent by the Master of the Dim Galaxy to guard the entrance of the 10th Direction territory. They were basically sinners and would die of old age here for the rest of their lives. They were the same as Yen Baitian and the others from the vast universe galaxy. Advance when you're ready. What is perfection? I felt that I had enough, so I naturally came out. Everyone farewell. Wait, Brother Gao Kun, are you leaving by yourself? Where are you going? We'll open a space-time door and send you there. You don't have to waste your time. We can teleport you to the main cities of the major planets. You'll be there in a moment. An old man said fawningly. That's a good feeling. Send me to the nearest city to the extraterrestrial battlefield. I've just stepped into Hongmeng and I need to fight. Hiss 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 hiss. Qin Hao's eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight as he said excitedly. Everyone was shocked. That's right. Brother Gao Kun, although you're just a beginner supreme of Hongmeng, your strength is enough to dominate the extraterrestrial battlefield. The old man continued, okay, we'll send you there. Thank you. Brother Gao, you're welcome. I look forward to the day when you'll be in charge of us. Maybe. I'll remember you. Qin Hao was slightly taken aback, but immediately understood what they meant. Buzz. Dozens of old men immediately raised their tokens, and the space-time door quickly formed in the void. Qin Hao cupped his fists slightly, turned into a stream of light and entered directly. Qin Hao, who had many experiences in disguise, was familiar with it. He was not worried about being seen through by the other party. After passing through the space-time door and appearing above a vast city, Qin Hao leisurely landed on a teleportation square that was similar to the center of the League of Defenders. Gao Kun, you're a supreme of Hongmeng now? What a powerful aura. The moment they appeared, their divine wills locked onto Qin Hao, and they let out exclamations. No wonder he's the top Grand Luo of the Dark Demon clan. He's recognized everywhere. Chen Hao thought to himself. He. Immediately, several old men appeared in front of Gao Kun. Before they arrived, they cupped their fists from afar, and their expressions were filled with shock and friendliness. Brother Gao Kun, I didn't expect you to be promoted to a supreme of Hongmeng so quickly. I'm afraid the title of the top Hongmeng in our Dark Demon clan will soon change hands. Congratulations. You're too kind. I've just been promoted to Hongmeng. Chen Hao smiled and cupped his fists humbly. Brother Gao Kun, you're here. Did the controller send you to the extraterrestrial battlefield? You can say that. I've just stepped out of the 10 Directions territory and need to fight. The extraterrestrial battlefield is undoubtedly the most suitable. That's right. With Brother Gao Kun's aura, you'll be like a fish in water in the extraterrestrial battlefield. This is great. With Brother Gao Kun joining us, you'll definitely be able to lead our Dark Demon clan to kill that monster from the human clan. Yes. The monster from the human clan? Who? Is he very strong? Chen Hao asked with a frown. Brother, it seems you haven't received any news? There's a monster from the human clan in the extraterrestrial battlefield. His strength is terrifying and his name is Atoda. He's killed countless people from our Dark Demon clan and the other 8 galaxies. Is that so? Chen Hao asked with a frown, and a trace of disdain flashed across his face. In everyone's opinion, Gao Kun didn't care at all. However, what they didn't know was that Chen Hao was laughing in his heart. He wasn't surprised that Atoda was called a monster. After more than 10,000 years of training in the depths of the chaotic space, he had experienced countless life and death situations. To be able to survive, it was difficult for him not to be strong. Moreover, although the macro world in Atoda's mind was rushed, Chen Hao had done his best, so it wouldn't be bad. Then there was the comprehension of the 3 great immortal scriptures. How could it not be strong? Yes, since Brother Gao Kun is here, it's not his turn to be arrogant. But I'm afraid it's too late. Too late. A year ago, our Dark Demon clan formed an alliance with the tyrants and the other 8 galaxies to kill the human clan. The first task to complete is to kill the monster from the human clan, Atoda. Once he's dead, the human clan's spiritual pillar will be gone. It'll be much easier then. He's just a monster from the human clan. Our Dark Demon clan and the other 8 galaxies can't even subdue him. Everyone who can send me off. I've just advanced to Hongmeng, so I don't know anything about the extraterrestrial battlefield. I hope I can make it in time. I want to kill this monster with my own hands and show off the Dark Demon clan's might. Chen Hao said sternly. Impressive. Brother Gao, this is the entrance to the extraterrestrial battlefield. Please follow me. Brother Gao, the current commander of our clan in the extraterrestrial battlefield, is Du Qianfan. Once you enter, find our clan members. The commander will naturally be you. I believe Du Qianfan won't dare to compete with you. It doesn't matter. I'm mainly here to train myself. It's inconvenient to lead the army. Let's go in first. Okay, I look forward to Brother Gao's triumphant return. Please. Goodbye. Chen Hao cupped his fists and stepped into the huge teleportation portal. After a terrifying wave of energy, Chen Hao clearly felt that time and space were torn apart. It was as if he had entered a long and narrow ancient tunnel. This was definitely not as simple as a teleportation portal. It contained the aura of a galaxy tunnel. How did the 10 galaxies merge together to form the ancient chaos vast thousand world? Chen Hao did not have any information in this regard. How to enter another galaxy from one galaxy, Chen Hao did not know Chen Hao. However, Chen Hao fell into deep thought when he sensed that he had been sent into the tunnel by the enormous teleportation array. That ancient aura was very similar to the galaxy tunnel. Although it was not as strong as the galaxy tunnel, it had existed for an unknown period of time. Ancient chaos, the name of the vast thousand world was ancient chaos. Now the 10 galaxies had been established. For hundreds of millions of years, no one had completely controlled it. It was also because of this balance, killing, competition, and snatching of resources without a unified management that the strength of the cultivators in the ancient chaos vast thousand world was far inferior to that of the chaotic vast thousand world. Through the situation in the 10 Direction territory, Chen Hao was very clear that if the ancient chaos vast thousand world were to be united, it would definitely be stronger than the chaotic vast thousand world. Perhaps only Senior Yi Lan and the ancestor of the Shao clan know a thing or two. Shuttling through space similar to the galaxy tunnel, Chen Hao thought to himself. The ancestor of the Shao clan at all costs, painstakingly worked for hundreds of millions of years in order to unify the ancient chaos vast thousand world. If there were no huge interests driving him, why would he do this? Unfortunately, Chen Hao did not know anything. His realm limited his cognitive level. He who had been immersed in the great Tao alone, did not obtain much information from the experts. His knowledge of the ancient chaos vast thousand world was not as much as the chaotic vast thousand world. In the vast and boundless extraterritorial battlefield, there was no sky, no earth. The entire space was like a blood-red setting sun. The mountain-like boulders were just the smallest space dust here. Incomparably huge meteorite fragments were everywhere. Almost every meteorite was crisscrossed with ravines, fist marks, sword marks, and other traces of a great battle. Some were so ancient that it was impossible to determine their age, while some were newly left behind and were still emitting traces of Tao mark pressure. The smell of blood permeated the entire space, outlining a terrifying scene with the blood-red setting sun in the sky. Any cultivator who stepped in for the first time would be infected by this aura and their battle intent would rise. This was the extraterritorial battlefield. The battlefield where the cultivators in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm fought had existed for countless years and coexisted with the ancient chaos vast thousand world. Just like the 10-direction domain, it was impossible to determine its specific spatial location. Just like the 10-direction galaxy, no cultivator could tell how they were connected. This was the existence that broke the spatial structure. Kill. 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 T. T. Rumble. 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 In this vast and boundless space, terrifying battles were taking place everywhere. Raging energy explosions, terrifying divine powers, and the sounds of battle resounded through the heavens and earth. It was a completely different concept from the battle in the 10-direction domain. Ito Kenta died. Don't even think about escaping today. Kill. 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 Tens of thousands of Hongmeng Supreme Masters from the 9 galaxies surrounded Ito Kenta on a meteorite that was larger than an ordinary planet. Endless Tao principles and endless coercion covered the heavens and earth like an invisible net. Even the cultivators who worked together to release the coercion felt heavy pressure, let alone Ito Kenta who was in the center. They couldn't even breathe smoothly. A bunch of idiots. Do you think you can kill me like this? Ito Kenta was bathed in blood, but his essence, chi, and spirit were burning fiercely like an erupting volcano. Mysterious runes surrounded him within 100 miles, resisting the terrifying coercion and Tao principles. His long hair and robe fluttered in the wind. His ferocious expression and scarlet eyes were wild and domineering. He didn't feel like he was on the verge of death at all. There was only a little madness, a little arrogance, and a little disdain. A chapter with more than 4,000 words looking for monthly votes. The number of chapters will increase in the future and the number of chapters will decrease. Chapter 1096. Kill. 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 T. T. With a loud roar that resounded through the heavens and earth, countless alien masters suddenly joined forces to launch an overwhelming attack. Saber light, sword shadows, fist radiance, endless Tao laws, energy that was as deep as the sea, and the pressure that could destroy the starry sky, violently shot toward Ito Ta at the center of the attack. Roar. Roar. Boom. Boom. Itota, who was already full of fighting spirit, suddenly clenched his fists in front of him and roared into the sky. What shocked all the alien cultivators was that Itota's roar, which seemed to be tearing the void, suddenly became louder again. It was like a dragon roaring in the sky, causing the surrounding space to explode continuously. Itota's aura, which had obviously reached the peak, soared by a large margin. Roar. When the dragon-like roar reached its peak again, what made the hearts of the outsiders thump was that Ito Ta's roar once again burst out. T, 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 t. The cries of the sparrow, the howl of the ghost, and the roar of the qilin. Wave after wave, 5 waves erupted in succession and they flowed without end. They were like endless waves and each wave pushed the previous one to a new height. Break for me. It was also at this time that Ito Ta's wild voice was like a thunderclap, which put an end to the roar of the pentacled wave. The strength of his body soared by many times and he punched the sky. Boom. Itaichi's fist pierced through the web-like Tao laws and pressure. His entire body shot up into the sky like a cannonball. As soon as Ito-ta broke the seal, the overwhelming attacks collided, exploded, and annihilated. The entire huge meteorite was like a mushroom cloud, turning into gravel and dust. How can he be so strong? Is he really in the early stage of the Hongmeng state? He must have fused with an ancient beast. This is his true strength, Qi. Tens of thousands of people had gone to great lengths to catch Itoda like a turtle in a jar, but in the end they still failed and let him escape. Chase after him. He's already an arrow at the end of its flight. No matter the price, we can't give him any time to catch his breath. Chase. Send out the news. Tell the various armies to join forces. After the leaders of the 9 galaxies came back to their senses, they began to clamor crazily. A bunch of idiots. There's no need to chase after them. A terrifying aura suddenly sped over, traveling thousands of miles in an instant. Everyone heed my orders. The 9 Galaxies Alliance has issued a decree. Attack the entrance to the vast universe galaxy. Ah. Are you going to give up on Itoda? He killed so many of our people. Humph, we will attack the entrance of the human race. As long as we destroy it, do you think Itoda won't take the initiative to come? Unless he gave up on the human race. Execute. We haven't been able to kill this guy even after a year. There's no need to waste any more time chasing him. Chi. The blood-colored flowing light concealed its own aura at a terrifying speed as it shuttled back and forth. He actually didn't chase after me? Itoda sensed the aura behind him. His twisted expression flashed with a trace of seriousness. Come out, Walla. A moment later, a crystal light flashed between Itoda's eyebrows, and streams of flowing light poured out. In an instant, countless human cultivators appeared around Itoda. Brother Itoda, thank you for saving our lives. Did you escape? Brother Itoda, thank you. Without you we would all be finished. Damn it, the 9 galaxies have joined forces to kill us. Just when everyone was thanking Itoda, an enchanting woman with a particularly plump buttocks looked at Itoda, who was covered in blood, and said with heartache, Tenota, I have the best sage-level healing elixir here. You are so badly injured, hurry up and recover. Tenota, I have it here too. It. Suddenly, another beautiful woman with a big buttocks came to Itoda's side, took out an elixir and stuffed it into Itoda's mouth. Ito-taka's twisted and painful expression suddenly showed a smug and evil smile. He didn't pay attention to the gratitude of the people. He didn't even look at them. He stretched out his arms and took the 2 enchanting women into his arms. He opened his mouth on the left and opened his mouth on the right, and swallowed the 2 top-grade saint-level healing elixirs. Todo. I am embarrassed, Tenota. The other human cultivators, regardless of whether they looked young or old, all awkwardly averted their gazes. This is too fucking shameless, too obscene. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, he rubbed and pinched the 2 women's buttocks, treating them as if they were air. Why are you still here? Do you want to see? I don't mind. However, when they chase after you, I will not be able to save you. Itoda suddenly said. After that, his eyes fell on the 2 women in his arms again. He said, Baby, don't be jealous. I am very powerful. Not to mention the 2 of you, I can take care of 10, 800s or thousands of you. Ha. Bah, what kind of bullshit is that? It's useless. It's not as fast as our recovery. Hundreds of human cultivators were sweating profusely. The man swallowed his saliva and directly left with his fists clasped at Itoda. The woman blushed and flashed away. After a certain distance, some women couldn't help but look back. But in the end they left again, reserved. How many people could put down their pride? After all, it was very rare. Although they had heard that Itoda was a monstrous genius who had no taboos with women, it was still too shocking to see it with their own eyes. This was not only a man who had no taboos with women, but also a man who did whatever he wanted to do with the whole world. He did not care about what others thought. He was lawless and did whatever he wanted. Too strong, too shameless, what a pity. Yes, what a pity. Damn it, if I were him, what kind of woman can't I conquer? Not to mention others, in the extraterritorial battlefield, there are many talented and beautiful women with primordial bodies. As long as he is willing, I don't think anyone can resist his pursuit. Yes, it's not that he pursued them. In the beginning, many beautiful women with primordial bodies pursued him. But this guy ignored them. Every time he saw a coquettish woman, especially one with a big butt, his eyes would light up. You see those two just now, they are famous for being sluts. Yes, you don't say, those two sluts' strength improved very quickly. Itoda, what a pity. I think it's not that he doesn't like young and beautiful geniuses with primordial bodies. It's just that he doesn't like any of them. Now he is looking for these sluts for fun. He can do whatever he wants and doesn't need to take responsibility. Okay, stop discussing. Let's leave quickly and meet up with the army. Damn it, the Alliance of the 9 Galaxies. Although our human race is strong, it is difficult to escape now. I'm afraid it will be more dangerous in the future. Around 10 p.m. there is one more chapter. Today I guarantee that 10,000 words will explode. Looking for votes. Chapter 1097. The Grand Mist Supremacy Realm was the pinnacle existence in the ancient chaos Grand Thousand Worlds, except for a few Tao-severing true immortals. The talent advantage of human cultivators was very obvious in the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm as a whole. It was precisely because of this that even though there were few human cultivators, in the vast and boundless extraterritorial battlefield, the 9 galaxies wouldn't be able to annihilate human cultivators within a short period of time even if they were in an alliance. They were flexible and could run away if they couldn't win. If they wanted to form an effective attack, they had to chase, encircle, and kill repeatedly. Otherwise, it would be difficult to obtain a big harvest. The most effective, cruel, intense, and radical method was undoubtedly to attack the entrance of the human race. Once such a war was launched, it meant a bloody battle. Countless cultivators were destined to die. Especially the attacking side. Because the 10 entrances of the 10 galaxies were easy to defend and difficult to attack. Moreover, no matter how many people there were, they couldn't enter at the same time. As long as the humans stood near the entrance and defended, they could achieve the effect of one man holding back 10,000 men. This was the biggest reason why the Alliance of the 9 Galaxies didn't choose this method at the beginning. If they could kill the current spiritual support of the human cultivators, Itoda, and then start to encircle and kill him, the effect would be much better. After all, Hongming's supremacy realm had a mind world. As long as a monster like Itoda saw a big battle, he would be a firefighter. If he could win, he would directly kill. If he couldn't, he would directly absorb all the human cultivators into his mind world. With his powerful personal strength, he would break through the encirclement and escape. This was a very troublesome matter. But now, after more than a year, they had spent a lot of manpower and energy. Tens of thousands of people finally formed an encirclement restriction, but the severely injured Itoda had escaped. This made them give up on pursuing Itoda. This was purely a waste of time. Then they could only use the final method, which was to attack the entrance of the human race. They would pay several times the price in exchange for the final victory. As the narrow and long passage suddenly widened, Xianxia appeared in a space with a radius of 10,000 miles. Countless Grand Mist Supremacy Realm Dark Demon cultivators were sitting cross-legged in it. After sensing the sudden fluctuation of energy from Xianxia, many pairs of eyes immediately gathered. Gao Kun. Gao Kun. A powerful aura suddenly shot through the crowd at lightning speed, arriving in front of Xianxia with an excited expression. Junior brother, you're out? You finished tempering so quickly? An acquaintance? Xianxia frowned slightly. Although he had taken control of Gao Kun's body and soul, he had not fused with Gao Kun's memories. At his level of strength, Gao Kun was like a worm to him, unable to withstand a single blow. Fusing with Gao Kun's memories would stain his own soul. The people who knew him before were obviously not familiar with him because of the reputation of the puppet. But now, the middle-aged man who had rushed over was obviously stronger than the people around him, yet he called him junior brother. Very soon. I think it's already very slow. Xianxia's expression didn't change at all. He only smiled and said proudly, Junior martial brother. Forget it. You've already come out. Could it be that you didn't go to see Master? Why didn't my teacher inform me of your arrival? I need to fight, Xianxia said, Senior Marshal Brother, is that the entrance? I'm going. Wait. Junior Marshal Brother, I know you're strong, but it's really not good for you to go now. Even if our teacher knows, he won't let you go in now. Why? To preserve our strength. Preserve our strength. Those who are going in now, aside from 1,000 army commanders and commanders, are all ordinary characters and cannon fodder. Senior Marshal Brother, what do you mean? I don't understand. Our 9 galaxies have formed an alliance and will soon attack the entrance of the vast universe galaxy. This is a battle to the death. Countless people are destined to die in order to annihilate the human race's cultivators. At that time, the human race will inevitably send out Dao-severing perfected immortals. There's no point for you to go now. Qin Hao's heart skipped a beat. Dao-severing perfected immortals? Yes. Now no one dares to use Dao-severing perfected immortals. Once they do, it will be the final battle. Before the entrance is lost, the human race will definitely not use them. But if it's really lost, they will have to appear. Otherwise, our 9 galaxies will swarm in, and the entire vast universe galaxy will be turned upside down. Besides, it's an alliance of 9 galaxies anyway. How can we be so stupid as to let the police station have them? I believe the other galaxies are the same. Senior Marshal Brother, are you here to guard the entrance of our race? That's right. Just these few people. But, Junior Marshal Brother, you were in the Grand Luo realm before, so it's not strange that you don't know about this. Look, that light door is the entrance to the extraterrestrial battlefield. Apart from there, no other place can be attacked. We only need to guard this place and kill whoever comes in. One man can hold the pass against 10,000. So you can't go now. When the time comes, no matter how strong you are, if you go in, you will directly face the attacks of countless people. Our 9 galaxies alliance will have to sacrifice at least several times more people to be able to take it down. Indeed. Qin Hao frowned slightly and then said, I heard that the human race has a monstrous genius called a Tota, right? Yes, that's right. He's very strong, very strong. Even Junior Marshal Brother. I'm afraid. You can definitely defeat him, but now is not the time. Don't think about Senior Marshal Brother, in your heart, you already think that I'm no match for him, right? You're just afraid of arousing my competitiveness, so you changed your words. I've made up my mind. Don't worry, before the Dao-severing perfected immortal comes out, I'll leave on my own. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he turned into a stream of light and rushed toward the light door. No, Junior Marshal Brother. The expert suddenly released a terrifying energy to seal Qin Hao, preventing Qin Hao from stepping into the light door. He knew very well that if Itoda had shown his strength before, Gao Kun might have been able to win. However, the recent news made him certain that Gao Kun, who had just stepped into the Hongmeng realm, was no match for Itoda. Hundreds of thousands of people had set up a trap and eventually formed a siege of tens of thousands of people. They had joined forces to condense an extremely powerful seal. However, Itoda, who was seriously injured, had used an even more terrifying trump card to escape. At this moment, Qin Hao waved his hand casually without turning his head. Boom. The terrifying shock wave caused the entire space to tremble violently. Boom. 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 Poof. Senior Marshal Brother, you're so weak? We'll meet again. The expert who had spat out a mouthful of blood was shocked speechless as he looked at his Junior Marshal Brother who had stepped into the light door casually. The surrounding cultivators widened their eyes in shock. Who was Gao Kun's Senior Marshal Brother? He was one of the top Hongmeng Supremes in the dim galaxy. Although he was not the strongest, he was almost invincible in the Hongmeng realm. He was also the disciple of the controller. It was certain that he would advance to a Dao-severing perfected immortal in the future. However, Gao Kun, who was the strongest Grand Luo in the dim galaxy more than 1,000 years ago, had just advanced to the Hongmeng realm more than 1,000 years later. With a casual wave of his hand, he had lightly injured his Senior Marshal Brother. The sentence he had said before leaving seemed to be that he was surprised that his Senior Marshal Brother was not as strong as he had expected. No, it should be that he was much weaker than he had expected. This was simply too shocking. An early-stage supreme being in the Hongmeng realm. Only, phew. Junior Marshal Brother is a genius, but could it be that he has encountered some amazing opportunity? This strength definitely has the ability to fight against an ordinary Dao-severing perfected immortal. Heavens, this is too exaggerated. This talent. Could it be that he's catching up to Master? He hasn't seen Master yet. No, I must report this immediately. What? Gina left the 10 Directions territory and went directly to the extraterritorial battlefield? A majestic shadow suddenly appeared in front of everyone and asked with a shocked look on his face. The surrounding cultivators had already knelt on the ground. They looked respectful and did not even dare to breathe loudly. Although they knew this was only a wisp of the controller's primordial spirit, no one dared to show any disrespect. Yes, Master. Nonsense. It's only been 1,000 years. Why did he come out so early? He didn't even tell me that he came out and went directly to the extraterritorial battlefield. Why didn't you stop him? Master, I stopped him. However, Junior Martial Brother insisted on fighting the human genius, Itutaichi. Nonsense. Nonsense. Junior Martial Brother is very strong. I used all my strength to stop him, but he injured me with a casual wave of his hand. How is that possible? Junior Martial Brother is a genius. I feel that he must have had some amazing encounters. His strength is as deep as the ocean and unfathomable. The divine powers he used casually are beyond my ability. Are you serious? The figure's beard trembled. I dare not lie to you, Master. Good. He injured you with a casual wave of his hand. He already has the strength of an ordinary Tao severing perfected immortal. But, if that's the case, then don't bother about him. Send my order to the extraterritorial battlefield. Gao Kun will be the commander of the Dark Demon clan. Inform Gao Kun. Master, Junior Martial Brother went in so suddenly that he didn't even have a token. This little bastard. Well, let's ignore him for now. Just send the order to all the commanders. Report to me immediately if you have any news. Yes, Master. Buzz. A violent fluctuation came from the space, and Qin Hao suddenly appeared in the extraterritorial battlefield. The extraterritorial battlefield. Then a crystal light flashed between his eyebrows, and Qin Hao's true body jumped out of the puppet's mind world. Then Qin Shui and the others appeared by Qin Hao's side. We're here? This is the extraterritorial battlefield? What a terrifying aura. His perception is not even 1/10 of it. Just as Qin Shui, Hu Main Yang, Coiling Dragon, and the others were sizing up this foreign battlefield in astonishment, the crystal light between Qin Hao's eyebrows flashed once more and 2 figures tumbled out. Lan Feng was brandishing his arms, baring his fangs and brandishing his claws, his face filled with fear. Xiao Feng's face was also pale. However, he suddenly opened his eyes and let out a scream that was completely different from Lan Feng's. Lan Feng screamed in fear. Xiao Feng screamed in surprise. Seeing this, Pan Long burst into laughter. The other girls also couldn't help but laugh. How embarrassing. Lan Feng, you've embarrassed us all. Du Jing couldn't help but say with disdain. Du Jing. You're bullshitting. I'm facing fear head-on and using fear to overcome fear. Can't you see how good my mental state is? How strong is my endurance? When I'm in fear, my state of mind transcends fear and comprehend the power of fear. You don't understand. Amazing. So that's how it is. Lan Feng, I'm impressed. I admit defeat. Du Jing cupped his fists and bowed with a face full of admiration. Well said. Pan Long was slightly taken aback and said, when I have time, I'll also try the Mountain of Corpses and Sea of Blood. Seems pretty good. Hu Mainyang smiled. You'll all try it, Qi. Qin Hao put away Gao Kun and sealed him in the Mountain of Corpses and Sea of Blood again. Qin Hao. I'm weak and can't do it here. You'd better send me into the Mountain of Corpses and Sea of Blood. Sister Xiaofu. You're still going? Don't go in. I'll take you and kill the alien races. Isn't that great? You're the one feeling great, not me. I'm not that strong. Xiao Feng curled her lips and looked at Qin Hao again. Qin Hao, send me in. You're not afraid? Qin Hao was slightly surprised. Of course I'm afraid. But I've improved a lot. Especially that boundless pressure of Tao. That was condensed by you, right? You've surpassed your master. Xiao Feng's face quickly became rosy again. She stared at Qin Hao and curled her lips slightly as she said. Lan Feng looked at Xiao Feng with a conflicted expression. The way Xiao Feng looked at Lan Feng made him feel fear from the bottom of his heart. This fear wasn't just fear but, cough cough. Qin Hao felt Lan Feng's abnormality and coughed awkwardly. He said, "Sister-in-law, you two should go in together." "Good disciple, you call me sister-in-law so smoothly. I'm your master. Master Dino? You've received my inheritance. Inheritance Dino? You've just arrived and you're already bullying your master. Why aren't you exerting your pressure? Hu Main Yang, Coiling Dragon, Du Jing Linxia and Long Ting bullying me is one thing. But you, Qin Shui Helian Wuzi Xia Yu Tantai Lian Ling Ning Huan Ling Ningle, you're bullying me too? I'm the limitless old ancestor. I've controlled your bloodline origins. Only Little Nan, Little Yen and Ning Bing didn't bully me. I'll remember this. Although I'm in the third life and was born around the same time as you, I still have my original body in the second life. My master is Controller Yilan. When the time comes, I'll ask him to teach you a lesson for not respecting your elders. Especially you, my good disciple. It's fine if you don't want to acknowledge me as your master, but send me in. Let me earn enough and receive your inheritance once. The highest inheritance. Don't think that I haven't taught you. Back in the second world, I personally fought with you. It's just that you didn't know it was me. No one expected that the limitless old ancestor Xiao Feng would suddenly flip out. No one expected him to be so sharp. This time everyone, including Qin Hao, was dumbfounded. In particular, Qin Shui and the others from the limitless planet lowered their heads. Qin Hao was so conflicted that he felt a headache coming on. Everyone was speechless. What should they say? At the same time, they also understood why she hadn't resisted when they had called her sister-in-law. Only Little Nan, Little Yen and Ning Bing. The three of them hadn't exerted their pressure on her. The others had all exerted their pressure. Although they didn't feel that they had exerted too much pressure, after all, she had withstood it. But when they gathered together and thought about how she had been able to calmly endure the fear of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, they understood what was going on. Her endurance was strong, but her resistance was low. The reason was because she was in the third life. 10,000 words eruption complete. Requesting votes. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.